You ever have a moment that slaps the breath out of your lungs? Like the floor just dropped under your feet and you're free falling into a nightmare you didn't ask for? Yeah, that was the day I stood in a custom-fitted tux, staring at the empty aisle where my bride, my so-called fiancée, was supposed to walk down. The church was full. The band was warming up. The cake was already at the reception hall. But the bride? Nowhere. Instead, I got a message. Not even a call. Just a freaking text from her mom. Madison isn't coming. Her ex, Chad, was rushed to the hospital. He's not doing well. Please understand. She can't leave him like this. Her ex. Her F***ing*X***. My hand shook as I stared at the screen. For a moment, I thought it was a prank. Like some idiotic joke gone too far. But no, that was real. My best man, Tyler, grabbed my arm and whispered, "Bro, are you okay? You're white as chalk." And then came her call. Madison, my fiancée. The woman I proposed to with trembling hands under a fireworks-lit sky. Her voice was calm, unapologetic, almost annoyed. "Ethan, just cancel it. I can't marry you while Chad is sick. I owe him that. If you don't get it, maybe you're not the man I thought you were." "Madison," I said, voice cracking, "you're choosing your ex over your future husband? Over our life together?" She scoffed. "He might die, Ethan. What the hell is wrong with you? If you can't support me through this, then stay alone." That was it. No tearful apology. No guilt. Just that icy, entitled tone. Like I was the problem for not bending to her insanity. Her parents backed her up. They even showed up to the venue and told me I should reschedule. Reschedule my F***ing wedding because her ex-boyfriend was more important right now. So, I did the only thing I could. I walked out of that church, took the ring off my finger, and left everything behind. Her family, the betrayal, all of it. Blocked every number. Burned every photo. Deleted every memory. Fast forward 13 years. 13 long years where I rebuilt my life from dust. I started my own company, bought a gorgeous place in Oregon, married a real woman who respected me, Jessica, and together, we had 2 beautiful daughters. I never spoke Madison's name again. Never told Jess about the chaos. That chapter was dead. Until last Thursday. The front gate buzzed at 6:47 p.m. I was in the kitchen helping my youngest with her math homework when I checked the monitor. It was them. Her parents. And Madison. I swear to God, I felt my pulse stop. They stood at the gate like ghosts from a past I'd buried deep. Same smug dad, same manipulative mother, and Madison, older, sure, but those calculating eyes hadn't aged a day. Before I could even react, they had already forced their way through the gate behind a delivery car and marched straight up to the door. Jessica opened it, thinking it was someone from church. And the second they stepped inside, they froze. I stepped out of the hallway, holding my daughter's hand. They saw the house, the success, the photos, the life I had built without them. And Madison's face. She turned pale. Her mouth opened, but no words came. She just stared at the walls, the floors, the fireplace, the absence of her in all of it. Jessica looked at me, confused. "Honey, do you know these people?" I nodded once. Madison took a step forward, reaching out like we were old friends. "Ethan." I didn't know where else to go. That's when I knew. Something was wrong. Something was coming. And this wasn't some random visit. This was a storm. And it was only just beginning. I didn't move. I didn't say a word. I just looked at her, the woman who once told me to stay alone because her ex-boyfriend had a runny nose and a craving for attention. She looked tired. Not just physically. Her eyes had that hollow, hungry desperation. That kind of emptiness you only see in people who've lost everything they thought they controlled. Jessica gently tugged at my arm and whispered, "What's going on?" Madison's mom tried to soften the scene. "Ethan, sweetheart, it's been years. We didn't mean to just drop in like this. But Maddie, she's going through something difficult." That voice. That rehearsed, sugar-coated venom. I remember it too well. She used that same voice 13 years ago when she told me I should be honored her daughter was even considering marrying me. Jessica excused herself, and the kids to the other room. I could hear the TV switch on, cartoons echoing through the hallway, trying to drown out the rising tension. But nothing could muffle the fury building in my chest. Madison stepped in slowly, her eyes scanning everything like she was trying to catalog the life she gave up. Her eyes stopped on a family photo near the stairs, me, Jessica, the girls, all laughing in matching sweaters. She blinked hard. "I didn't come here to cause problems," she said finally. I didn't know where else to turn. I leaned against the wall, arms crossed, letting the silence eat away at her nerves. Let her explain. Let her hang herself with her own words. She fidgeted with the strap of her purse. Chad died. A few months ago. I stared at her. The same Chad you blew up our wedding for? She nodded. He had cancer. It was real this time. I actually laughed. I don't know why. Maybe because the absurdity of it all finally cracked something inside me. So you ditched me at the altar for a guy who faked being sick. Then 13 years later, you're back because he finally did it right. Her face flushed, but not with guilt. With pride bruised. I made a mistake. No, Madison. You made a choice. She exhaled sharply. Okay, fine. I chose him. I chose wrong. But I didn't come here to rehash that. I came here because I have nowhere else to go. And there it was. The truth. Not an apology. Not regret. Just a confession that life had finally spit her out. Chad didn't leave anything behind. No money. No house. Just debt. I sold everything I had. I even stayed with my parents for a while, but they're moving to Florida. And they won't take me with them. I looked at her parents, standing there like statues of betrayal. Not a hint of shame on their faces. Her father even had the audacity to speak. She's had a tough time, son. You turned out fine. Maybe you could just help her out for a bit. My vision tunneled. I walked toward them slowly. Each step measured. My voice stayed calm, but inside I was on fire. You want to stay here? In my house? With my wife and kids? After you humiliated me in front of everyone I know? After you told me to stay alone if I couldn't handle you running off to play nurse for your ex? She didn't answer. So I leaned in closer. I stayed alone, Madison. For a long time. And it was the best damn thing that ever happened to me. Her eyes glossed over. She opened her mouth to speak again, but I raised a hand. No, you don't get to talk. You had your chance 13 years ago, and you threw it in the dirt for a man who couldn't even keep his lies straight. I turned to her parents. Get the hell out of my house. All of you. Her mom tried to say something, but my voice cut sharper than any argument. I don't owe you kindness. I don't owe you explanations. You showed me who you were the day you backed her decision to run. Now go. They hesitated, like they weren't used to hearing no from anyone. But then Jessica walked back into the room, holding our daughter's hand. Is everything okay? She asked. Madison stared at the little girl, at the life she didn't get to have, at the man she thought she could circle back to. Her lips quivered. We're leaving, she whispered. And just like that, they were gone. But I knew, deep down, that wasn't the end. You don't let a scorned narcissist like Madison back into your world and expect her to disappear quietly. Something was coming, and it would be ugly. 2 days passed. I tried to shake it off. Tried to file it under unwanted ghosts from the past and move on with my life. But something felt off. Jessica noticed it too. She didn't press me for details. God, I love her for that. But I caught her watching me from the kitchen doorway, brows tight, trying to figure out if this was something she needed to worry about. I kept telling myself it was over, that Madison had crawled back into whatever hole she came from. But that nagging feeling, that itch in the back of my skull, it didn't go away. Then came the email. No subject line, no sender name, just a link. I stared at it for 5 minutes before clicking. It was a video. The footage was grainy, like it had been recorded with an old phone. It showed a woman's silhouette entering a hotel room, hair tied up in a familiar bun, same curve to her shoulders, same walk. Madison. Then came the second figure. Tall. Broad. Definitely not Chad. They kissed in the hallway, sloppy and reckless, like teenagers with no shame. Then they disappeared into the room, and the door shut. Timestamp. 3 days before our wedding. The same week she was taking care of Chad. My hand clenched the mouse so hard it creaked. So it wasn't just that she chose him over me. She was already sneaking around with someone else before she ever bailed. The hospital story was a smokescreen. A drama stunt to justify bailing on me without looking like a monster. She didn't just choose her ex. She played me like a damn idiot. I don't know who sent the video. No message. No hint. But it didn't matter. The lies were deeper than I thought. Dirtier. She didn't just break my heart. She nuked it and danced in the ashes. Jessica walked in on me still staring at the paused screen. Ethan. I didn't want to lie to her. She deserved better. So I told her. Not everything. Just enough. That woman who came the other day, Madison, she was supposed to be my wife. Years ago. Left me at the altar. Said her ex was sick and needed her. Jessica sat slowly. She said that, and then came back after all this time? Yeah, but that wasn't the whole story. I turned the laptop and hit play again. She watched the scene without saying a word. When it ended, Jessica blinked. Once. Twice. Then, she looked me dead in the eyes. Is she trying to come between us? I wanted to say no. I really did. But I wasn't sure anymore. She might be. Jessica didn't cry. Didn't scream. She just stood up, walked to the sink, and poured herself a glass of water with the calm precision of someone who's been through storms before. She's not staying, she said. I don't care what her story is. I don't care if she's broke or lonely or broken inside. She doesn't get to come in here and ruin what we've built. I nodded. But later that night, when the kids were asleep and Jessica had gone to bed, I sat on the porch alone, watching the dark tree line sway in the wind. That email, it wasn't just a warning. It was bait. A trap. Someone wanted me angry. Someone wanted this wound reopened. And deep down, I knew who it was. Madison wasn't just crawling back for shelter. She wanted something. And she wasn't done yet. At 3:12 a.m., I woke up to a noise. I sat up in bed, heart pounding, listening. Then I heard it again, soft tapping on the glass. I grabbed the baseball, but I kept near the dresser, crept down the stairs, and flicked on the porch light. She was there. Madison. Wearing a hoodie, no makeup, hair damp from the rain. Like some twisted version of a sad rom-com scene. Her eyes locked with mine through the glass, red and wild. I didn't open the door. She mouthed something. I couldn't hear it. So I stepped closer. And I read her lips. He wasn't the only one. I froze. She pressed her hand to the glass, then dropped a folded piece of paper on the doormat and walked away into the night. I waited, heart pounding. Every instinct told me not to touch that paper. But I opened the door anyway and picked it up. It was a birth certificate. Not hers. Not mine. A child. Mother, Madison Hale. Father, Ethan Brooks. The air felt like it vanished from the world. And everything I thought I knew, everything I had healed from, ripped open again. I stared at the name on the paper like it might change if I blinked hard enough. Liam Hale Brooks. Born 7 years ago. In Idaho. My name was on it. In clean black ink. But I never signed anything. I never even knew. My hands started to shake. Not out of fear, no, it was something deeper. A kind of slow boiling fury that curled through my ribs and sat heavy in my chest. I felt betrayed all over again. Only this time it wasn't just about a wedding, or a lie, or a fake hospital story. This was a kid. A child with my name on his birth certificate. A child I never got to hold, teach, protect, or even know existed. I stood on that porch until the sky began to change, until the black faded to dark blue and the edges of the world started to sharpen. Birds chirped like everything was normal. Like my entire life hadn't just been cracked open again by the same woman who shattered it once already. By the time I walked back inside, Jessica was sitting on the bottom step of the staircase. She looked at me, at the paper in my hand, then back at me. She didn't ask what it was. I handed it to her without a word. Her hands were steady as she read it, but her face, that calm, controlled face I loved more than anything, began to crumble. She looked up at me. Is this true? I don't know, I said honestly. But it's her handwriting. And it matches what she mouthed through the window. Jessica stood, walked slowly into the kitchen. She didn't scream, didn't throw anything. But I could feel her walls going up. She just drops this on us, she said. No explanation? No phone call? Just shows up and drops a nuke. I think she's trying to destroy me, I said. Or maybe use it to manipulate me. Either way, it's not about the kid. Jessica leaned against the counter, one hand over her mouth. She shook her head. I need some air. She walked out the back, and I didn't follow. Not because I didn't care, but because I didn't know how to comfort her through something I didn't even understand myself. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the paper again. Liam. 7 years ago. That was 6 years after she left me, which meant she had this child without ever saying a word. And now, when her life was falling apart, she wanted to toss him into the mix like some bargaining chip? No, not a chance. But I needed to know the truth. I hired a private investigator the next morning, gave him the name, the birth certificate, and everything I remembered from the night Madison reappeared. He promised to move fast. I didn't tell Jessica about that part. Not yet. She barely spoke to me all day. We went through the motions with the kids' dinner, homework, bedtime stories, but there was a distance now. One I hated. One Madison created with a single sheet of paper. Then, that night, it got worse. I found a manila envelope shoved into our mailbox. No stamp. No address. Just my name in thick black marker. Inside? Photos. Dozens of them. Me. Jessica. The kids. Our house. My office. The grocery store. Taken from a distance. Through windows. From across parking lots. Some of them looked recent, within the last few days. I dropped the envelope like it was on fire. Jessica walked in as I was picking up the scattered photos. She knelt beside me and looked at them, one by one. She didn't ask who sent them. She already knew. She's watching us, she said. I nodded. She's playing a game, I said. And she just made the first real move. Jessica stared at the photos, then looked up at me. I want her gone, Ethan. I don't care what she says about the kid. I want her out of our lives. She might not make it that easy. Jessica's eyes hardened. Then make it hard. And that's when I realized. Madison didn't just want chaos. She wanted control. And if I didn't stop her soon, she'd take everything. 2 days later, I got the call. The investigator, Craig, former military, no-nonsense type, his voice was flat, like he'd seen this crap too many times. It's real, he said. The birth certificate. The kid. Everything checks out. But there's more. I braced myself. She's been moving. A lot. For states in 7 years. Idaho, Montana, Nevada, now Oregon. Every time she gets close to eviction or debt collectors, she latches onto someone. Usually older guys with decent money. Then bleeds them dry and disappears. Classic manipulator. What about the kid? There was a pause. He exists. Liam. 7 years old. He's currently enrolled at a small charter school in Bend. But here's the thing, he's not with her. My stomach dropped. What do you mean? She left him. With a couple she used to rent a room from. Told them she'd be back in 2 days. That was almost 3 weeks ago. They've been trying to contact her, but she ghosted them. Apparently she owed them money too. I closed my eyes and pinched the bridge of my nose. Does Liam know anything about me? Not much. The couple said he talks about his mom sometimes, but never mentioned a dad. Said she told him his father was some rich jerk who didn't want him. The rage that filled me was different this time. It wasn't loud. It was cold. Focused. She had erased me from that boy's life before I even had the chance to choose. She lied to him. Used him. Ditched him. And now she was circling back like she was doing me a favor? Craig continued. You want me to contact child services? No, I said immediately. Not yet. I want to talk to the couple. Myself. Can you set that up? Already did. They're expecting you tomorrow. When I hung up, I sat in silence for a long time. The storm Madison brought back into my life wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about a boy. A boy who didn't even know I existed. Jessica walked in as I was packing a bag. Where are you going? I need to meet someone, I said. A little boy named Liam. She didn't speak right away. Just stared at me with those sharp, scanning eyes. Then, she said something I didn't expect. I want to come with you. I blinked. Are you sure? You didn't make this mess, she said. But if that kid is yours, he's part of our life now. And I want to meet him, too. That night, we drove 3 hours east, just past midnight, and checked into a cheap motel a few miles from the couple's house. I didn't sleep. Just stared at the ceiling, trying to picture the face of a son I never knew I had. The next morning, we pulled into the driveway of a modest, worn-out home with a cracked basketball hoop and a wind chime that never stopped moving. An older woman stepped out onto the porch, wearing an oversized sweater and a nervous smile. You must be Ethan. Yes, I said. This is my wife, Jessica. I'm Marlene, she said. My husband, George, is inside with Liam. Come on in. As soon as we stepped into the living room, I heard the soft sound of a cartoon playing on the TV. Then I saw him, sitting cross-legged on the floor with a juice box in one hand and a toy car in the other. Brown hair, pale skin, small, thoughtful eyes that flicked up when we entered. Marlene knelt beside him. Liam, honey, this is Mr. Ethan. He's a friend of your mommy's. The boy looked at me, just stared, and for a moment, time stopped. He tilted his head, squinting. You kinda look like me, he said. Jessica gripped my hand. Yeah, I whispered. I think I do. He shrugged and went back to his toy. You want to see my car collection? My throat tightened. I'd love to. For the next hour, we sat on the rug as he showed me every scratched up, mismatched car he had. Jessica laughed when he insisted she be the announcer in his imaginary races. Marlene watched from the kitchen with a tissue in her hand. It was peaceful, and that scared me, because peace never lasts when Madison's name is involved. By the time we left, I had Marlene's number saved, a dozen photos on my phone, and a new name echoing in my mind louder than ever before. Liam. He was innocent, and he deserved more than being used as bait by the woman who brought him into this world. But when we got back to the motel, there was a message waiting on my phone. Unknown number. You found him. Good. Now let's talk, or I'll take him back and disappear forever. Jessica read it too, and whispered, she's not done with us. She was right. Madison wasn't done. She was just getting started. I didn't respond to the message. Not right away. Every part of me wanted to curse her out, to threaten her back, to tell her that she'd never touch Liam again, not after what she pulled. But I knew better. Madison thrived on chaos. She wanted an emotional response. She wanted to provoke me into doing something stupid, something she could use against me. Maybe she'd even recorded her little visit to my doorstep. Nothing was beneath her. Jessica sat on the edge of the motel bed, phone still in her hand, rereading the message like she was studying a threat from a terrorist. She didn't cry. She never did. But her jaw was locked tight, and her fingers trembled slightly. We can't let her near him, she said. I won't, I replied. But we need to be smart. I'm scared she'll hurt him, she whispered. I nodded. Me too. That night, I called Craig again. He picked up after 2 rings. She made contact, I said. Threatened to take Liam. He exhaled sharply. You want me to trace her? Yes, but discreetly. If she even smells that we're on to her, she'll vanish. She's done it before. Understood. Sit tight. I'll have something for you soon. The next morning, we drove back to our house. I didn't tell Jessica, but I checked every corner on our street for suspicious cars. Every parked vehicle. Every unfamiliar face walking a dog or jogging by. It felt like we were being watched. I couldn't shake it. 3 days passed. Then Craig called again. I've got her. My heart jumped. Where? She's staying in a rundown motel off Highway 62. Paid in cash. Fake name. Surveillance shows her leaving twice. Once to buy food. Once to use the library computer. Other than that, she's holed up in the room. Probably waiting. Waiting for what? You. He sent me the address. A motel barely standing, sandwiched between a gas station and a pawn shop. I knew it well. We used to drive past it on our way to the coast. I didn't tell Jessica where I was going. She would have stopped me. But this was something I had to do alone. The motel smelled like mildew and regret. I found her door, room 206. I stood there for a few seconds, letting my rage settle just enough to think straight. Then I knocked. She opened it like she was expecting me. Still smug. Still wearing that same manipulative mask she wore 13 years ago. Ethan, she said, voice dripping with fake warmth. You look good. I stepped inside without permission. The room was a disaster. Takeout boxes. Dirty clothes. A half-packed bag by the bed. On the dresser, photos of Liam. Crumpled drawings. A tattered stuffed bear. You don't get to threaten me, I said. Or my family. She laughed. Oh, please. I gave you a gift. A son. You should be thanking me. My fists clenched. She noticed. Don't get violent, she said sweetly. That wouldn't be good for custody. Custody. I nearly choked. You left him with strangers, Madison. You abandoned him. What kind of court do you think is going to give you custody after that? She leaned against the window, arms folded like she was delivering a monologue on some reality show. That's where you're wrong. They didn't report me. They've got no legal claim. It's all just hearsay. But you've got money. Stability. A picture-perfect life. And I can take that away. My voice dropped cold. Try it. She smirked. I've got emails. Photos. You want to go to court? Fine. But I'll tell the judge you knew about Liam and ignored him. That you chose your shiny new family over him. It'll be messy. You'll lose clients. Your wife will hate the spotlight. And your daughters? They'll grow up hearing about how daddy had a secret kid and tried to bury it. I stepped closer. You think I care about reputation? This isn't about optics, Madison. This is about a boy you used, abandoned, and now want to weaponize. But I've got a lawyer, money, and the truth. All you've got is your history of lies. She blinked. Just for a second. The crack in her armor. I kept pushing. And I already filed for emergency custody. The couple you left him with submitted a sworn statement. Liam's safe. You won't get near him again. Her mouth twisted. You think this is over? No, I said. But you lost. She lunged. Not physically, but emotionally. Her voice snapped, shrill and desperate. He was mine. He was mine. Until you showed up. You abandoned me. You let me go. You ran. Her chest heaved. Her lip curled. I hope your perfect little family burns. I left. Didn't slam the door. Didn't look back. Outside, the air was thick with rain. I called Jessica. Are you okay? She asked instantly. She won't stop, I said. But now I know what she is. Jessica was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, so what do we do now? And I looked at the sky, soaked to the bone, thinking of a little boy named Liam, my son. We fight, I said. And this time, we don't lose. The court date was set for 2 weeks later. Emergency custody was granted in the meantime, which meant Liam was officially under my care until a final ruling. Marlene and George brought him to our home the next day, along with his things, what little there was. He stood in the hallway with his little backpack, turning circles with his shoe on the tile. Jessica knelt to his level, smiling softly. You want to see your room? He nodded. Quiet. Careful. I followed them up the stairs, heart thudding with every step. The guest room had been converted almost overnight, thanks to Jessica. She stayed up late decorating it with car posters, a blue comforter, and glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling. Liam stepped in slowly, like the walls might vanish if he touched them. Jessica sat beside him on the bed. If you want anything changed, you just tell us, okay? He didn't say much, just stared up at the stars. Then whispered, can I still see Marlene and George? Of course, I said. They'll visit. Whenever you want. He nodded again, still processing. So was I. I wanted to hug him. Wanted to tell him he was safe now. That no one would ever use him again. But I didn't want to overwhelm him. That night, he fell asleep with a toy car in each hand. I stood in the doorway, watching his tiny chest rise and fall. A knot formed in my throat. Jessica stepped behind me, rested her hand on my back. You okay? She whispered. I shook my head. Not really. I don't know what I'm doing. You're doing it. That's what matters. We stood there in silence for a while, both of us staring at a boy we didn't know last week. A boy who had no idea how much weight had just been lifted onto his tiny shoulders. The next morning, things seemed calm. Jessica made pancakes. Liam smiled a little more. Even laughed when our youngest tripped over a cat toy and called it the enemy. It felt normal. Until I got a call from my attorney. Ethan, you need to see this, she said, her voice tense. Check your email. Right now. I opened it immediately. There was a video attached. A new one. It showed me. At the motel. Walking into Madison's room. No audio. Just footage. Me stepping in. Staying. Then leaving 10 minutes later. The video had been posted anonymously on a local gossip blog with the caption, Local business owner visits ex in motel. Affair or blackmail? My stomach dropped. Jesus, I muttered. Jessica read it over my shoulder. Her face went pale. This is what she meant, I said. She's coming for everything. The post had already been shared over 300 times. The comment section was blowing up with speculation. My company name was tagged. Some comments even mentioned Jessica by name. I called Craig again. She's filming us now? Looks like it. She probably set up a camera before you even arrived. Can we trace who leaked it? I'm working on it. But that's not all. He sent another file. This one was worse. It was a fake message thread. Photoshopped. Looked like text between me and Madison. Flirty, romantic, recent. She's creating a digital paper trail, Craig said. Trying to paint a picture. Make it look like you're the one chasing her. Like Jessica's the other woman. She's insane. She's dangerous, he corrected. And she knows how to play the long game. I stood up, fist clenched. She wants a war? She's got one. I held a family meeting that night. Jessica, the kids, even Liam. We sat around the table while I explained the basics. Someone from my past was trying to hurt our family with lies. Jessica stayed composed, but I saw the fear in her eyes. What do we do? She asked. I looked at Liam, at my girls. We don't hide, I said. We don't break. We protect each other, tell the truth, and take her down publicly, legally, however we have to. Jessica nodded. Then let's end this. The next morning, we filed a restraining order. By noon, my lawyer filed a defamation suit. By evening, Craig had traced the blog post to a burner laptop Madison used at the library. And just when I thought we had her cornered, a new package showed up on our doorstep. No name, no return address, just a USB drive inside. Jessica didn't want me to plug it in, but I had to know. I loaded it up on a white spare laptop. There were videos, 12 of them, all taken over the past 2 weeks. Hidden cameras. Our backyard, our living room, even one in the upstairs hallway, right outside Liam's room. I stared at the screen, heart thundering, blood roaring in my ears. She'd been in our house, not just watching. Inside. Jessica's hands covered her mouth as she whispered, "She's been here." I stood up, every muscle locked with rage. "She thinks this is a game," I said. "She thinks she can break into my house, terrorize my kids, and use my son like a puppet?" Craig called at that exact moment. "We've got her," he said. And for the first time in days, I smiled. The arrest came at 4:47 a.m. Craig had tipped off a contact in the county sheriff's office. With the evidence, we handed over video surveillance, the planted cameras, the fake messages, the forged birth certificate. The DA didn't hesitate. They kicked her door in before sunrise. She screamed like a cornered animal, threw a lamp at one of the deputies, tried to delete files off a laptop before they could cuff her. But it was over. This time, she couldn't slither her way out. Not with a trail of evidence that made her look like something straight out of a psychological thriller. She was charged with child endangerment, stalking, unlawful surveillance, defamation, and breaking a restraining order. Bail was denied. I didn't celebrate. I didn't drink or high-five anyone. I just sat in Liam's room, watching him sleep, a stuffed dinosaur cradled in his arms. And I cried for the first time in years. Not because I was sad, but because the storm was finally over. Jessica came in and sat next to me. She didn't say anything, just wrapped her arms around my waist and held on tight. "We're okay now," I whispered. "Yeah," she said softly. "We are." The trial moved quickly. Her public defender tried to spin the story, paint her as mentally unwell, a desperate mother, but the evidence was too much. She was sentenced to 8 years with no parole for the stalking and surveillance. A restraining order sealed the deal. She couldn't come within 500 yards of me, Jessica, the girls, or Liam ever again. Liam was placed under my full custody. The court didn't even hesitate. When asked if he wanted to speak to his mother, he said no. Just no. I promised him we'd never force it. Jessica and I enrolled him in a new school. He made friends fast. Fit in better than I expected. The kid was stronger than me in ways I couldn't even explain. He asked about his mom a few times, but never with longing. Just curiosity. I gave him pieces of the truth, simple, honest, measured. As he got older, I'd tell him more. But for now, he was happy, safe, loved. A year passed. Then 2. Jessica and I renewed our vows on the beach with the kids standing beside us, all 3 holding our hands. The waves crashed behind us, the sun dipped low, and for the first time in a long time, I felt like I could breathe. No shadows, no ghosts, just us. If I could go back and talk to the man standing in that church 13 years ago, the broken groom, staring at an empty aisle, I'd tell him this. You'll lose what you thought was love. You'll bleed and break. But in the fire, you'll find something better. Real. Fierce. Untouchable. And if you're reading this, if you're a man out there holding on to a woman who lies to your face, who disrespects your loyalty, who feeds off your kindness and weaponizes your emotions, walk away. Let her go. Let the chaos burn behind you. And don't look back. You deserve peace. You deserve someone who chooses you every damn day, without conditions, without threats, without games. I found that. And nothing, not even Madison, could take it from me again. The whole family had gathered for dinner, something my father insisted on every year for his birthday. He was turning 72, and even though I hadn't spoken to my brother Logan or my ex-wife Amanda in 4 years, I still showed up. Out of respect for Dad. Big mistake. The moment Logan walked through the door, smug as ever, wearing that stupid designer jacket and fake humility, I felt my jaw clench. And right behind him, Amanda. Tight dress, loud heels, fake laugh. My ex-wife. My brother's girlfriend. The 2 people who blew my world apart like it was a sandcastle. Still single? LOL. Logan smirked, grabbing a beer from the fridge like he owned the place. I was still holding Dad's gift, wrapped carefully in blue paper. My fingers tightened around it. Amanda didn't even look at me when she said, "Hey, ugly." Still the same. Her voice hadn't changed. Still that sarcastic sweetness dipped in venom. The kind that once made me fall in love with her. Now it made my stomach churn. Everyone at the table froze for a second. Mom tried to smile, bless her soul. Dad just poured himself a whiskey. I sat down across from them, directly across. I wanted them to look at me, to see what they did. Logan and Amanda laughed, whispered, giggled. The whole dinner was a circus of passive aggression, fake stories, and inside jokes they thought I wouldn't catch. But I caught everything. And then, Right as Amanda reached for another glass of wine, my dad slammed his palm on the table. Silverware jumped. The room froze. Good timing, he said, standing up slowly. I have something important to tell you. You ever hear silence so deep it's like the earth stopped spinning? Logan looked up with half a laugh. What is it, Dad? You finally leaving Mom for your nurse? Amanda rolled her eyes. Unless he's giving us money, can we skip the drama? But Dad didn't smile. He pulled a folded letter from his pocket, shaking slightly, and placed it on the table. Logan, he said, looking him dead in the eye. You're not my son. Amanda laughed out loud, until she looked at his face. Then she stopped. What? Logan muttered. My heartbeat felt like a war drum. My eyes jumped between them. Dad nodded slowly. You're not biologically mine. Your mother, she had an affair. I found out a year after you were born, but decided to raise you as my own. But now, after what you've done to your brother, he pointed at me. You don't deserve my name. Or this family. You could taste the tension in the air. Amanda went pale first. Then Logan. His hands dropped from the table like someone cut his strings. Wait. What the F*** is this? Logan said, voice shaking. You're just saying this to. Dad slid the DNA test across the table. No, I'm proving it. The room shattered into chaos. Amanda stood up, shaking, screaming at no one. Logan grabbed the paper and stared at it like it would rewrite itself. I just sat there, smiling, quiet, because 4 years ago, they stabbed me in the back. They destroyed our marriage, mocked me, called it meant to be. She moved out the same day she confessed, with Logan's hand already on the steering wheel of their escape. I lost my house, my dignity, and half my family that day. But now I watched the blood drain from their faces like a twisted kind of justice. Amanda leaned in toward Logan, whispering frantically. Then she looked up at me. What the hell are you smiling at? She snapped. I stood slowly, leaned over the table, and whispered just loud enough for everyone to hear. Because karma doesn't need help. It just needs time. I walked out before the shouting started again. That was the moment I knew everything had changed. But that wasn't the beginning. No, that dinner just brought everything to the surface. The real story? It started 4 years ago, when I first saw the signs. And yeah, she was lying to my face the whole time. For years before that dinner from hell, my life was picture perfect. Or at least that's what I kept telling myself. Amanda and I had been married for 6 years. She was wild, unpredictable, always 2 drinks away from saying something she'd regret, and I loved her for it. I thought I was the grounded one, the calm to her storm. Turns out, I was just the idiot who didn't see the lightning coming. The first clue wasn't dramatic. It was subtle, almost stupid. She changed her perfume. She'd been wearing the same vanilla musk since our second date, but suddenly, it was something new. Sharper, stronger, a scent I didn't recognize, and that she brushed off with a laugh. Oh, I ran out. Logan's girlfriend had this one. I just borrowed it for now. Logan's girlfriend. Right. That was before I knew they were already sharing more than perfume. Then came the phone habits. She started turning her phone face down. Always on silent. Always locked. I asked once, and she smiled like I was being insecure. Babe, please. It's work. My new manager's a control freak. If I don't answer quick, she freaks out. Funny. I didn't know Logan had legally changed his name to new manager. I still remember the night I knew something was wrong. We were lying in bed, her scrolling on her phone, me pretending to sleep. I opened my eyes for a second, just to see her reflection in the mirror across the room. She was smiling at her screen. That quiet, evil kind of smile. The one she used to save for me. Then she bit her lip. My stomach sank. I turned over and whispered, "Who are you texting?" She jumped, literally flinched, and shoved the phone under the pillow. "No one," she said quickly. "Just Chloe. She sent me a meme." A meme? At midnight. That made her blush. But I let it go. I always let it go. That's what I regret the most. Not catching her in the act. But how many times I could have and didn't. How many red flags I folded into origami excuses just to keep the illusion alive. She started working late, more often. But she'd come home with perfect makeup and that damn scent. Like she'd just stepped out of a showroom instead of an office. And then there were her new lingerie sets. Stuff I never saw her wear. Tags I found in the trash. She claimed they were for fun, and then made excuses every time I touched her. Not tonight. I'm just tired. Right. She wasn't tired when she disappeared for a girls' trip that one weekend. Left early Friday, Came back late Sunday. Wouldn't let me pick her up from the airport. Said she was getting a ride from her friend's brother. I asked who. She said, "You don't know him." Of course I didn't. He was my brother. But I didn't find that out until much later. Back then, I still believed her. Still kissed her goodbye. Still waited up for her like a dog at the window. The worst part? She got colder. Not mean, just distant. Like I was a ghost in the house we built together. No more surprise hugs. No more lazy Sunday breakfasts. No more random texts during the day saying she missed me. She was somewhere else. With someone else. And I was too stupid to see it. Or maybe I did see it, and I just didn't want to believe the truth. Because once you admit the truth, you can't go back. And I wasn't ready. Not yet. But the truth? It was already digging its claws in. And the betrayal? It had Logan's face all over it. It was a Wednesday night. Raining like hell. I remember that because Amanda had texted me at 6:42 p.m. saying, "Stuck at work? Don't wait up. Love you." I was already halfway through making dinner. By 8 p.m., I was sitting alone, chicken gone cold on the plate, watching the raindrops race each other down the window. That night, something inside me snapped. Not out of anger. Not yet. But from exhaustion. The kind that comes when your gut's been screaming at you for weeks, and your brain's been trying to shut it up. I was tired of lying to myself. So I did something I hadn't done in 6 years of marriage. I checked her tablet. She'd left it charging by the kitchen. I don't know if it was a mistake, or if she thought I'd never look. But it was still synced with her iMessages. I opened it. And right there, front and center, was a message that shattered everything. From Logan. "Miss you already. Last night was wild. Wish I could do it again tonight." My fingers froze. My heart didn't even pound. It just stopped. Another message came in right as I stared at the screen. "Amanda, me too. Still can't believe we pulled that off at your place." He's so clueless. Faced with tears of joy, the room started spinning. My ears rang. I felt like throwing up right there on the kitchen tiles. I scrolled. Weeks worth of messages. Flirty, dirty, secretive. Plans. Inside jokes. Photos. Photos. I'll spare the details, but let's just say they weren't meant for a brother-in-law. That's when the shaking started. My hands were trembling so hard I almost dropped the tablet. I sat down on the floor, leaned against the cabinet, and read every goddamn message. They weren't even trying to hide it. Every weekend she worked late, she was with him. Every girls' trip, she was with him. Every time she came home smelling like someone else, that was him. The man I'd grown up with. The one I shared bunk beds with. My brother. He was 5 years younger. Always had that golden boy charm. The slick talk. The dumb luck that made everyone love him. And I always had his back, even when he didn't deserve it. And now? He was ing my wife. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there in a kind of numb shock, the rain outside sounding like applause for the worst play I'd ever watched. I waited for her to come home. She walked through the door at 10:13 p.m., umbrella in one hand, phone in the other, humming like nothing had happened. I sat in the living room, tablet on my lap, screen still open to the messages. She saw me, froze, then smiled. "Hey babe, you're still up?" I didn't answer. She stepped closer, slow. "Everything okay?" I tilted the tablet so she could see the screen. Her face changed. It wasn't guilt. It wasn't fear. It was annoyance. She rolled her eyes. "Seriously? You went through my stuff? That's low, even for you. Even for me." My hands clenched. "How long, Amanda?" She didn't answer. She walked past me, tossed her umbrella on the floor, and started pulling off her jacket. "How long?" I asked again, louder. She turned, arms crossed. That same bitch's smirk she always wore when she thought she was smarter than everyone in the room. "Does it matter? You already read everything." That's when the tears finally came, not hers. Mine. Not because of the affair, but because in that moment, I realized I never really knew her. The woman I built my life around didn't even flinch as she destroyed it. And worse, she didn't care. Amanda stood there in the middle of our living room like it was just another Tuesday. No panic. No shame. Just cold eyes and crossed arms. She had always been good at flipping the script, but I didn't think she'd try it this soon. "I mean, you really crossed a line reading my messages, Adam," she said, like I was the one caught lying in bed with her sibling. "That's a violation of my privacy." I laughed. I actually laughed. "Privacy? You've been sneaking around with my brother like it's some Netflix subplot, and now you want to talk about boundaries." She tilted her head, that fake innocence on her face. "Logan and I, We didn't plan this. It just happened. Things haven't exactly been great between us, and don't. I cut her off. Don't you dare blame me for this. If you were unhappy, you could have left. You could have said something. Instead, you stayed and cheated with my own blood. She shrugged. Shrugged. You're too safe, Adam. Too boring. Everything with you is planned. I needed fire. I took a step closer, my voice low. So you lit a match and burned down our marriage. That finally got a reaction. Her eyes flashed, and she threw her jacket onto the couch like it personally offended her. I stayed because I felt sorry for you, she snapped. You always looked at me like I was some prize you'd won. Like I was this trophy wife who'd fix your dull little world. But I wanted more. And Logan gave you that? I asked, barely holding my voice steady. What? Quick thrills and dirty secrets behind my back. That's your definition of more? Amanda walked to the bar cart, poured herself a glass of wine, and took a long sip like we weren't in the middle of the most catastrophic conversation of our lives. You never would have understood. You don't get passion, Adam. You get routine. That's what you are. A damn routine. Her words sliced deeper than I expected. Maybe because, for a moment, I wondered if she was right. Maybe I had been too comfortable, too trusting, too blind. But I shook it off. Because no matter what cracks existed in our marriage, betrayal was a choice. And she made hers over and over again. How long? I asked, calmer now. Too calm. She didn't look at me. Does it matter? It does to me. Amanda sighed, finished her wine, and set the glass down. Almost a year before I moved out. A year. A year of lies. A year of coming home to me, kissing me goodnight, pretending to love me, while sleeping with my brother. I felt like vomiting. You disgust me, I said quietly. She rolled her eyes again. Save the drama, Adam. You were never going to be enough for someone like me. Logan saw that. I saw that. Eventually, you would have seen it too. That broke something in me. But I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I walked over to the mantel, took down the photo of our wedding day, stared at the smile I once believed was real, and then dropped it face down. Glass cracked. Amanda didn't flinch. I looked at her one last time. You can go, I said. What? I said get out. Pack your crap. You're done here. She stared, waiting for me to beg, to plead, to fall apart. But I didn't. Because in that moment, I realized the woman I loved no longer existed. If she ever did at all. Amanda grabbed her purse, phone, and heels, and headed for the door without a single word. No apology. No goodbye. Just silence. But the real explosion? That came later. When Logan made his move. It took Logan 3 days to show up. 3 days of silence. No call. No text. Not even a cowardly apology. I guess he thought Amanda would do his dirty work for him, like she always did. But on that third day, I opened my front door and there he was. Smiling. Like nothing had happened. He had that same smug, golden boy grin that used to charm teachers, bail him out of speeding tickets, and get girls to fall all over him. Including my wife. Hey, bro. He said like we were meeting for coffee. Mind if we talk? I stared at him, completely still. My jaw was locked so tight I thought it might snap. I wanted to hit him. Not punch, ruin. But I stepped aside. He walked in like it was his house. So, he started, plopping down on the same couch Amanda once pretended to love me on. I guess you know everything now. I didn't answer. I just sat across from him and waited. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees, that fake serious look on his face. Look, man, I didn't mean for it to go down this way. It just happened. God, where had I heard that before? You slept with my wife? I said, my voice low, dead calm. For over a year. He nodded. Yeah, I know. But you and Amanda were falling apart, man. She was miserable. You were always working, always tired. You just slid in? I interrupted. Like some backup quarterback waiting for an injury. He had the audacity to laugh. Not how I'd put it, but yeah. That was when I realized he didn't come to apologize. He came to justify. Logan never believed he did anything wrong. He never had to. Growing up, I was the fixer, the shield, the peacemaker. He was the golden child. Every screw-up forgiven, every betrayal overlooked. But this wasn't just a mistake. You had everything, I said quietly. And you still wanted what was mine. He shrugged. It's not like you owned her. She chose me, man. My hands were shaking. I clenched them into fists until my knuckles turned white. She was my wife. And now she's not, he snapped, standing up. Look, I'm not here to fight. I just thought we could be men about this. Move on. I stood too, chest to chest. You want me to be a man? Then take responsibility like one. Say it out loud. Tell me you Ed your brother's wife, and you don't regret it. He stared at me. No blink. No guilt. I don't regret it, he said, like a dare. And that was it. I swung. My fist landed square in his mouth, knocking him back onto the coffee table, which cracked beneath him. He scrambled up, blood running from his lip, eyes wide, not with fear, but rage. You're crazy, he shouted. No, I said, breathing heavy, fists clenched. I'm done letting you walk over me. He stumbled toward the door, wiping his mouth. You just made things worse for yourself, man. Amanda and I, this is real. Then good luck, I said. Because she'll ruin you too. He paused at the door. We're getting married. I laughed in his face. A real, bitter, broken laugh. Perfect. Two snakes under the same rock. Then I slammed the door in his face. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in the dark, staring at nothing, wondering how my own brother could gut me without blinking. But the thing about betrayal? It doesn't end when they leave. It echoes. In your chest. Your head. Every damn corner of your life. And I knew the worst wasn't over. Because I hadn't even talked to Dad yet. I didn't plan to tell my parents anything. Not yet. After the Amanda Logan mess exploded, I just wanted to disappear for a while. Be a ghost. But the universe had other plans. Mom called on a Sunday morning, voice chipper like usual. We're doing a dinner for your dad's birthday next weekend. Don't even try to wiggle out of it, Adam. He wants everyone there. Everyone. Meaning Logan. Meaning Amanda. I almost said no. I should have. But something told me go. Maybe it was stubbornness. Maybe I just wanted to see them squirm in front of the family. Either way, I agreed. The night of the dinner, I showed up in silence. Gift in hand. Mask on my face. Logan was already there, acting like a damn celebrity, talking loud, laughing louder. Amanda sat beside him, legs crossed, her smile just a little too wide. She didn't even look at me. Until Logan did. Still single? LOL, he said, that grin curling on his lips like he couldn't wait to get punched again. I didn't react. I wanted to, but I didn't. Then Amanda, with her voice dipped in venom, added, Hey, ugly. Still the same. My mother gasped under her breath. Someone dropped a fork. And right then, Dad stood. He didn't raise his voice. Didn't pound the table. Just stood with this quiet, eerie calm. Good timing, he said, pulling a folded envelope from his jacket. I have something important to tell you. Logan laughed, confused. What? You finally getting a motorcycle or something? Amanda sipped her wine. Unless it's a check, can we not drag this out? But Dad didn't smile. He placed the envelope flat on the table and looked Logan in the eyes. You're not my son. Silence fell like a thunderclap. Logan blinked. What? I'm not your biological father, Dad repeated. Your mother had an affair. I found out after you were born, but I decided to raise you as my own. Because I loved you. Because I believed you were worth it. But after what you did to Adam, he nodded at me. You've lost that right. Amanda's wine glass tilted slightly in her hand. Is this a joke? Logan scoffed. You're seriously doing this here? Now. Dad slid the DNA results across the table. It's not a joke. I had the test done when things didn't add up. I kept it buried all these years. But now you need to know what betrayal looks like from the other side. Amanda was pale. Logan was frozen. I just sat there, watching the world flip upside down. You're saying I'm not your son? Logan's voice cracked. You never were, Dad said coldly. And now, you're not even family. Logan stood abruptly, knocking over his chair. You think this changes anything? I don't need your name. I have Amanda. We're happy. Dad tilted his head. Are you? Amanda glanced at Logan, then quickly back at her wine glass. You're a coward, Logan hissed. A bitter old man trying to stir drama. But his voice shook. His hands trembled. Because deep down, he knew this wasn't a lie. It was the truth he'd never seen coming. Logan stormed out. Amanda followed, heels clicking on hardwood like the final beat of a slow funeral march. The room was dead quiet. Mom sobbed softly. Dad sat down like his bones finally gave in. I was still in shock. Not because Logan wasn't blood, but because betrayal had come full circle. He took my wife. And life took his identity. Call it karma. Call it fate. But it felt like balance. And that was the moment I knew. I hadn't lost everything. I'd just lost the people I never really had. The house was quiet after the storm. The day after Dad's revelation, I woke up to a dozen missed calls. 2 from Mom, 1 from Amanda, which I didn't even open, and the rest from Logan. I didn't answer any of them. For the first time in months, hell, maybe years, I wasn't filled with rage or confusion. I just felt still, like I was standing in the center of a wreckage, surrounded by the ruins of everything I used to believe in. But I wasn't broken anymore. That was the difference. I sat on my porch with coffee in one hand and a photo in the other. It was from our wedding, Amanda in white, me smiling like an idiot, Logan standing beside me as my best man. I stared at that image for a long time, trying to understand how something that looked so perfect could be built on lies. Then I tore it in half. I didn't do it in anger. I did it in peace. Because I finally realized I'd been holding on to memories like they were proof of who I was. But they weren't. They were just snapshots of a person I didn't recognize anymore. Later that day, Logan showed up again. I saw his car pull into the driveway, engine still running like he was planning to bolt if I didn't come out. He didn't ring the bell, just stood by the car, waiting. I opened the door and stepped out onto the porch. He looked like he hadn't slept. Face pale, eyes bloodshot. I just wanted to talk, he said, voice low. I leaned against the railing. We've done enough talking. Logan took a shaky breath. I didn't know about the test. I swear. Doesn't change what you did. He looked down at his shoes. Amanda left. That surprised me. What do you mean? She packed up and took off yesterday morning. Didn't leave a note. Just gone. A long silence followed. Then he looked at me with something I hadn't seen in years. Honesty. Or maybe just exhaustion. I thought she was different, he muttered. I thought what we had was real. I shook my head. She's not built for real. She's built for chaos. He laughed, bitter and broken. Guess you were right. You never asked, I said. You never stopped to think how this would tear me apart. You just took. Like always. He nodded slowly. I know. And I'm sorry. I mean it. I stared at him. My brother. My enemy. My ghost. Then I said something I never expected to. I forgive you. He looked up, stunned. What? I forgive you, I repeated. Not for you, for me. Because I need to move on. I need to close this chapter. Logan blinked, as if waiting for a punchline. But we're done, I added. You and me? We're not brothers anymore. We're just 2 people who used to be family. He didn't fight it. He just nodded, turned around, and walked back to his car. He never looked back. That night, I made a decision. I booked a solo trip. Somewhere quiet. Somewhere far. Not to escape, but to rebuild. Because when your world burns down, you don't look for pieces in the ash. You build something new. And you build it better. I went away for 2 weeks. Left the city, left the noise, left the wreckage behind. Found a small cabin near Lake Placid. Just trees, water, silence, and my own thoughts echoing off the walls. It was exactly what I needed. Every morning I woke up at dawn and went for long walks through the woods. I didn't take my phone. I didn't check emails. I didn't want connection. I wanted clarity. And slowly, the fog that Amanda and Logan had left behind began to lift. The first few days were hard. The silence was deafening. My mind kept dragging me back to the lies, the moments I should have noticed, the times I let things slide because I didn't want to face the truth. But then something shifted. Around day 5, I woke up and realized I hadn't thought of her at all the night before. That's when healing begins, not when the pain stops, but when it stops owning you. I started writing in an old notebook I found in the cabin drawer. Not poetry, not anything fancy, just thoughts. Pieces of clarity. Warnings, maybe. To myself. Or maybe to the next guy who thinks love is enough to keep someone loyal. Here's what I wrote. 1. Trust your gut. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Love should bring peace, not paranoia. The moment you start questioning her stories, her schedule, her glances at her phone, pay attention. 2. Loyalty isn't measured by words. It's measured by what people do when you're not looking. Amanda was always good with words. She said all the right things, even while doing all the wrong ones. Actions matter more. They always do. 3. Don't stay just because you remember how it used to be. That version of her, it died the moment she chose him. The past is a ghost, and no matter how hard you chase it, it won't come back. 4. Some betrayals are survivable, but not forgettable. I'm not bitter, but I'll never be the same man I was before Amanda and Logan. That version of me died with the truth. And that's okay. He needed to. 5. You owe them nothing. Not closure, not kindness, not access. Forgiveness doesn't mean letting them back in. It just means you're not letting the poison kill you. Let them drink their own. On my last day at the cabin, I sat by the lake and watched the sun dip behind the trees. It was quiet, beautifully quiet, and I thought about the next chapter, about building a life where betrayal has no seat at the table, where I protect my peace with the same intensity one once used to protect people who never deserved it. When I returned home, I didn't bring the old photo albums back out. I didn't replay old memories. I didn't check Amanda's socials or wonder where Logan had landed after his world crumbled. I didn't care. They were gone, and I was free. If I could say one thing to the man I used to be, the one sitting in the kitchen reading those texts, the one who felt the world collapsing, I'd tell him this. You'll survive. You'll bleed, sure. You'll scream into pillows and curse the sky. But you'll come out cleaner, stronger, smarter. And you'll never, never fall for a pretty lie again. Because the truth? The people who betray you aren't stronger. They're just weaker in disguise. And once you see that, they lose all their power. Forever. I still hear her voice. I still see that smirk. It was a Friday night. The lights in our bedroom were dimmed, those dimmable ones she insisted on installing because mood matters. I had just come out of the shower, wiping steam off the mirror, thinking about where we'd go for dinner. She stood in front of the bed in blood-red lingerie she hadn't bought for me. That became clear real fast. I smiled, genuinely. I remember asking, "Honey, where are we going tonight?" She didn't even flinch. She adjusted her bra strap like she was preparing for battle, smirked, and said, "You're staying home. I don't know exactly where my date will take me, but I'll probably be back by morning. By then, he'll know every inch of me, because he's a real man, an alpha." It hit like a steel bat to the ribs. That pause after my date. That calculated cruelty in her voice. Like she enjoyed watching the light go out of my eyes. Her name's Madison. Yeah, like those pretty blondes in every high school movie, the cheerleader who always got what she wanted. Except this one was older, colder, and played the long game. And the worst part? Her parents. Her sweet, religious, family values parents. I told them. Thought maybe they'd be as horrified as I was. You know what her mom said? "She's young. You should forgive her." Her dad added, "Just be a man about it, son. It happens. Don't throw away a marriage over one mistake." One mistake? She didn't even call it a mistake. She bragged about it. She looked me in the eye and basically said, "You're not enough." That night, I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I sat down on the edge of the bed while she finished doing her makeup. I watched her pull on a coat over that lacy nightmare, spray perfume that I paid for, then look at me like I was the maid who forgot to clean the floor. And then she walked out. I sat in silence, hearing the front door close like a damn gunshot. I still don't know what broke more in that moment, my heart, my pride, or my whole damn perception of who I married. And for hours, I just sat there, not moving, like my mind had gone offline. Around 2 a.m., I got up and poured myself a whiskey. I watched her location ping on my phone. Hotel. Downtown. 5 stars. That's when I started to go back. Back to all the little signs. The late-night gym classes. The sudden need for privacy on her phone. The new perfume she found online. The way she flinched when I touched her. The way she stopped saying, "I love you" first. I thought she was stressed. I thought maybe it was me. Maybe I wasn't enough. Turns out, I was too much, too loyal, too trusting, too dumb to see it. But that night, something cracked in me. Not sadness. Not self-pity. Something else. Something colder. Something that wanted answers. And I was going to get them. Because if Madison thought she could humiliate me like this and walk away untouched, she forgot one thing. I may not be an alpha, but I know how to burn bridges with a smile. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her smirking in that damn lingerie. Her words echoed like gunshots in an empty room. By morning, he'll know every inch of me. I stared at the ceiling until the sun came up, then got in my car and drove. Downtown. Same place her location pinged hours earlier. The Hilton, classy, expensive, cold. The kind of place you take someone you don't plan to respect afterward. I parked down the street and just sat there, watching. My fingers gripped the steering wheel so tight they went white. And then, at exactly 9:06 a.m., she walked out. Same coat. Hair a mess. Makeup faded. That walk, the one she does when she knows she's done something she's proud of and wants the world to know it. Behind her, a man followed. Big guy. Sharp jawline. Sleeves rolled up. Looked like the kind of guy who chews steak raw and punches drywall for fun. They didn't kiss goodbye. Just nodded. like it was business. She walked to her car, opened the door, and paused. Checked herself in the mirror. I swear she smiled. I started my engine and tailed her home, staying a few cars back. I knew every turn before she made it. She pulled into our driveway, walked inside, and 2 minutes later, I followed. She was in the kitchen making coffee, like she hadn't just cheated on me a few hours ago with some walking testosterone. Like nothing happened. "Morning," she said, without even turning around. I said nothing. I stood there, letting the silence choke the room. Finally, she turned. Saw my face. Her expression didn't change. "You followed me?" she asked, voice calm. "No," I replied. "I tracked you." She scoffed. "How very insecure of you. How very slutty of you," I fired back. That got a reaction. Her eyes flared, lips twisted. But she didn't deny it. She just walked past me like I was the dog, and she was tired of hearing barking. I followed her to the living room. "I saw him," I said. "And?" she said, still not facing me. "And I took pictures," I added. That made her stop. She turned, slowly. "You're bluffing." "No," I said, pulling out my phone. "Security camera. Hotel parking lot. Lucky for me, the manager owed me a favor." "You weren't exactly subtle." She walked toward me, slow and controlled, like a predator pretending not to be. "You really want to do this?" she asked. "I'm not doing anything," I said. "You already did." She snatched the phone from my hand, opened the photo. Her face. His face. Both in frame, walking together, laughing. Her expression cracked for a second. 1 second. Then she tossed the phone on the couch and said, "So? You have a picture. I had a night. We're even." Even. She said it like she spilled wine on the carpet and I was overreacting. I didn't scream. I didn't punch a wall. I just stood there, realizing something that hit harder than any betrayal. She wasn't sorry. She wasn't ashamed. She wasn't afraid. This wasn't a mistake. It was a message. And I heard it loud and clear. "You're not the man I married," she said flatly. "No," I replied. "I was better." She rolled her eyes and walked upstairs. Like that ended the conversation. But it didn't. Because in that moment, I knew this was war. She picked the battlefield. I'd pick the weapons. And she had no idea what I was about to do next. I didn't move for 10 minutes after she disappeared upstairs. Just stood there, my heart hammering in my chest, trying to process the fact that I was married to a woman who could cheat without flinching, and then throw it in my face like it was a joke I didn't get. I sat down on the edge of the couch and picked up my phone. The picture was still open, her laughing with that brick wall-built idiot. His hand was on her lower back, the kind of grip that says mine in public. And she let him. Enjoyed it. I texted it to myself, then sent a copy to a second, hidden email I had once made for work emergencies. Now, it had a new purpose. I scrolled up and down through our chat history, remembering a time when she used to send me good morning selfies, text about dinner, random, "I miss you" messages. It had all stopped 3 months ago, replaced by one-word replies. "Okay, sure. Busy." I should have known. I should have seen it. But love makes you blind, and trust makes you stupid. I opened my contacts and found the name, Tom Frazier, my lawyer friend from college. The guy who'd always joked, "If she ever screws you over, call me first before you screw yourself with kindness." I hit call. He picked up on the second ring. "Tom," I said, voice dry. "I need to talk." "You sound like hell," he said. "Is it Madison?" "She's cheating. I have proof." "Okay. I'll meet you at the office in an hour." Click. That was it. I took a deep breath, stood up, grabbed my keys, and headed toward the door, only to hear the soft buzz of her phone vibrating on the kitchen counter. She forgot it. And I couldn't help myself. I picked it up. No passcode. She thought I was too respectful to check. Wrong. I opened her messages. First thread, Blake Hotface Fire. I clicked it. My stomach twisted. "Blake, last night was unreal. Still feel your teeth on my neck. Madison, you earned it." Alpha smiling face with horns. "Let's just say I'm walking funny this morning." I nearly crushed the phone in my hand. There were more messages. Voice notes. Even a damn video, just audio, but clear enough. Moaning. Whispers. Her calling him daddy. I dropped the phone like it burned me. I needed air. But instead of walking out, I made one more call. Her mother. Because I wanted to hear from someone, anyone, that this was wrong. She answered on the second ring. "Hi, sweetheart. Did you know?" I asked. No emotion. There was a pause. Then, a sigh. "We thought you'd find out eventually." You knew? I asked, my voice finally rising. Madison's just confused, she said softly. It doesn't mean she doesn't love you. You two have a home, a history. Forgiveness is powerful. I laughed. Out loud. A broken, bitter sound. She told me to my face she was with another man. Bragged about it. You want me to forgive that? She's still young, her mother said, like Madison was 16 and not a 29-year-old adult. Sometimes women need to explore to know what they really want. Well, she's about to find out what a courtroom feels like. I snapped and hung up. Forgiveness? For exploration? No. She didn't want a husband. She wanted a backup. And I was done being that. As I walked out the door, I looked up at the stairs. I could hear the shower running. She was probably rinsing the man off her skin, like it was just another part of her routine. She had no idea the bomb I was about to drop on her world. And she deserved every damn shard. By the time I got to Tom's office, my hands were still shaking not from sadness anymore, but from the kind of rage that's too quiet. The kind that settles behind your eyes and makes everything look like it's glowing red. Tom looked up from his desk, immediately reading my face. You look like a man who just lost his religion. I sat down across from him and tossed my phone on the table. Check the email, I said. She's cheating. Proud of it. He opened his laptop, typed for a moment, and his face went stone cold as he started scrolling through the pictures and the screenshot of her filthy messages. Jesus, he muttered. She's not even hiding it. She doesn't have to, I said. She thinks I'll stay. Her parents literally told me to forgive her. Like I'm the problem for being hurt. Tom leaned back and stared at me. You want out? I want her destroyed, I said quietly. And that's when Tom smiled, just slightly. Not because he enjoyed it, but because he knew exactly what to do. He laid out the steps. Divorce papers. Freezing joint accounts. Asset protection. Legal surveillance. Turns out, when one spouse openly cheats, the court tends to smile on the other. But I wasn't just thinking court. I wanted truth. Raw. Undeniable. I wanted to expose her. So we set a trap. I told Tom to give me 48 hours. I had something planned. That night, I acted calm. Came home with dinner. Flowers, even. Madison raised an eyebrow when I kissed her cheek and said, let's reset. Let's talk. She didn't trust it. Not fully. But her ego did. We sat down. Ate pasta. She even smiled at me, like I was just the fool who came crawling back after a tantrum. I asked her if we could do a truth cleanse. No yelling. Just honesty. She laughed, but she agreed. I started asking questions. Do you regret anything from this week? She sipped her wine. No. I needed it. Do you think he's better than me? She looked me straight in the eye. He's a man. You're stable. It wasn't just the answer. It was how she said it. Like stable was an insult. Like loyalty and decency were flaws. But I didn't snap. I just nodded. The camera hidden in the flower vase was already rolling. The next morning, she left early. Claimed she had a doctor's appointment. I followed. She went to Blake's apartment. This time, I didn't just wait. I knocked. He opened the door shirtless. I looked him dead in the eyes. Does she tell you she's married? I asked. He froze. I smiled. She's all yours. He didn't speak. He stepped back, confused. I walked away, but not before sliding a tiny black USB drive into his mailbox. Labeled, Play Me. On it? Her confession. The whole dinner conversation. Her calling him a man, and me just stable. Her admitting she didn't regret anything. When she came home that night, I was packing a suitcase. You're leaving? She asked, finally looking unsettled. No, I said. You are. Excuse me. I sent Blake a little gift. A recording. I wonder if he's into pathological liars. She blinked. You recorded me? Full video. Good lighting. I'm sure he'll love how you said you needed it. She exploded then. Threw a vase. Screamed something about betrayal, about how dare you. The irony of her using the word betrayal almost made me laugh. You think this is over? She screamed. No, I said. This is just the beginning. She didn't know it yet, but I had just taken away the two things she treasured most, her image and her control. And tomorrow, her world would collapse. Just like she collapsed mine. The next morning, I woke up to silence. No banging doors. No high heels clicking across the hardwood. Madison was gone. Probably licking her wounds. I poured coffee, sat down at the table, and waited. I didn't have to wait long. At 9:27 a.m., my phone buzzed. Unknown number. You sick psycho. What the hell did you send me? I smiled. Blake. I typed back one word. Truth. 2 minutes later, another message came through. This one shook me a little. Blake, she told me you abused her. That you were obsessed and controlling. I should have known. Abused? She told him that? I couldn't believe it. But I could. Because that's who she really was. I sent him one more message. Ask her to explain the dinner video. She called you her side project. Said she'd drop you once I forgave her. Don't believe me? Check the recording. Silence. Good. Let the liar juggle her lies. I spent the next hour compiling everything. The hotel footage, the texts, her messages to Blake, her voice notes. Tom helped me draft a secure file and sent it directly to my divorce attorney. She still hadn't contacted me. Until 1:43 p.m. Madison walked into the house like she was on fire. Her hair was a mess. Her phone clutched in her hand. Her lips trembling, but not with sadness, rage. You ruined everything, she shrieked. I stood still, calm. You mean I told the truth? You sent him our private conversation. You mean your confession? I asked. About how I'm not a real man. About how you needed someone else. She looked like she was going to explode. She came toward me, finger pointed like a dagger. You humiliated me. You don't come back from this, you know. No one will date a man who stalks his wife. I actually laughed. Madison, you don't get it yet. I'm not trying to come back. I'm taking you down with me. She threw her phone at the wall. It shattered. I didn't even flinch. You think you're smart? She spat. You think this will make people love you? No, I said. I don't need people to love me. I just need them to know you. She stormed into the kitchen, ranting about calling her lawyer, calling her parents, calling Blake. Already did, I said. And by the way, your parents? Not on your side anymore. That stopped her. What are you talking about? I pulled out my phone. Opened the voice message her mother had sent me that morning. We had no idea Madison was lying like this. I'm sorry. Truly. Do what you need to do to protect yourself, son. Madison went pale. Oh, and Blake. I added. He said he never wants to see you again. Guess calling him your side project didn't land well. She backed up, wobbling like her entire world had tilted. I walked past her, grabbed my keys, and said the last thing I'd say to her in that house. You played the game, Madison. But I built the board, and I left her standing there, alone, in a house full of broken things she couldn't fix with lies. Outside, the sky was clear. Inside me, for the first time in weeks, so was my mind. I was done being the broken one. It was her turn now. The next time I saw Madison, she wasn't wearing lingerie or smugness. She was wearing a blazer. A cheap one. The kind people wear when they're trying to look put together, while their life falls apart behind the scenes. We were sitting across from each other in a clean, quiet conference room at my attorney's office. Tom sat beside me, calm as always, while Madison's lawyer, a greasy guy named Rick who looked like he practiced fake smiles in the mirror, shuffled his papers. I believe, Rick said, clearing his throat, we can settle this amicably. No need to draw blood. I leaned forward. Your client already did. Madison wouldn't look me in the eye. Her lips were tight. Her fingers tapped the table like a ticking bomb. Tom spoke up. We have documentation of infidelity, voice recordings, hotel surveillance, and text messages. My client is not seeking vengeance. He's seeking justice and closure. Rick looked over at Madison, expecting her to object or deny something. She didn't. She just sat there, silent, like a child who finally got caught stealing. Tom continued, we're offering a clean divorce. He keeps the house, his business, and the car he bought. She walks away with whatever she had before the marriage. No alimony. No fight. Rick tried to save face. I'm sure Madison would prefer a more balanced. I cheated, she said, her voice low but sharp. Everyone froze. I cheated, she repeated, louder. I humiliated him. I lied to him. I lied about him. I don't deserve anything. Rick turned slowly, looking like someone had just pulled the ground out from under him. Madison. Shut up, she hissed, not even looking at him. She finally turned toward me. Her eyes weren't red, but they were glassy, almost human. Not the cold reptile I'd faced the last few weeks. I didn't think you'd fight back, she said to me. You were always the calm one. The loyal one. I thought you'd just take it and stay. You thought wrong, I said simply. I know. She nodded. And I deserve everything coming. Tom raised an eyebrow. That's legally binding, you know. We can write that in. Do it, she said. Her lawyer looked like he wanted to melt into the chair. And just like that, it was done. She signed. I signed. She left first. Didn't look back. Tom and I stood in the lobby a few minutes later. He clapped me on the shoulder. You did it, man. No, I said. She did it. He smiled. You think she meant what she said? I shook my head. No. But I think for the first time, she realized she lost something she couldn't replace. Later that evening, I found a letter in the mailbox. No stamp. Just my name on the front in handwriting I knew too well. Inside, one sheet of paper. 3 lines. I thought you were weak. Turns out you were just quiet. I hope someone loves you better than I ever could. There were no tears on the paper. No apology. Just the weight of regret. But it didn't belong to me anymore. It was hers to carry. And I hoped it was heavy. Divorce is never clean, no matter how smooth the paperwork looks. The day Madison signed the papers, she walked out of my life in silence, but the noise she left behind echoed in everything. My bed still smelled like her shampoo. My fridge still had her favorite coffee creamer. There were little sticky notes she used to write. Buy eggs. Don't forget the dry cleaning still stuck to the side of the fridge like ghosts of a life that wasn't real anymore. But the silence? That was the loudest part. And for a while, I lived in it. I didn't celebrate. I didn't go drinking. I didn't do what the movies say you're supposed to do after a divorce. Instead, I cleaned. I scrubbed every inch of the house. Washed the sheets twice. Donated her clothes. Tossed the lingerie, the one from that night. I burned it in the fire pit. Watched it turn to ash like it was never silk, never touched by betrayal, never soaked in perfume that wasn't for me. But she wasn't done. Not yet. 1 week after the divorce was finalized, I got a message on Instagram. Madison, I miss your calm. I miss the way you used to look at me. Can we just talk? I didn't respond. An hour later, another. Madison, I'm not asking for anything. Just dinner. 1 hour. I just need to explain something I never said in that office. Still, I said nothing. 2 days later, I got a voicemail. She was crying. I thought he loved me. You know? Blake. He said all the right things. Then the second he saw I had nothing, he blocked me. He called me toxic. He said I used him. I didn't. I just didn't think it would all end this way. She paused, took a breath, and continued. You were the only person who ever made me feel safe. I ruined that. I know. But I don't sleep. I don't eat. Everything tastes like cardboard. I hear your voice when I close my eyes and I hate myself. Please. Delete. I didn't need to hear the rest. Because what she felt now was what I'd felt every night she snuck out, every lie she told with a kiss goodbye, every time she laughed at her phone and said, it's just Kelly from work. Guilt is a mirror. Eventually, you see yourself. But I was moving on. I'd started therapy. Yeah, the tough guy move, right? But sitting in a quiet room with someone who didn't lie to me, who just listened, helped more than I expected. One day my therapist asked, do you still love her? I thought about it. No, I said. I loved who I thought she was. And I miss who I was when I believed that version of her existed. That night, I had a dream. Madison and I were standing in our kitchen, laughing, like none of this ever happened. She was cooking eggs. I kissed her cheek. Then I blinked, and she was in that red lingerie again, looking right at me. By morning, he'll know every inch of me, she whispered. I woke up drenched in sweat. I stared at the ceiling, breathing hard. It wasn't just a nightmare. It was a warning. Don't forget who she really is. And I won't. Ever. Months passed. People kept asking if I was over her. As if heartbreak had a stopwatch. As if betrayal came with an expiration date. The truth is, I wasn't trying to get over Madison. I was learning how to live without the version of her I made up in my head. The real her? The one who wore deception like a perfume, who looked me in the eye and said she was going on a date while I stood there like a joke in my own house. That woman never deserved my grief. But the illusion of her? Yeah, that one stung. That one took time. But healing came, little by little. One day, I walked into the house and didn't smell her anymore. Another day, I passed her favorite restaurant and didn't feel like puking. Eventually, I took a trip, alone. Somewhere quiet. No distractions. Just waves, whiskey, and the kind of silence that doesn't echo with old arguments. I sat on the beach at night, watching the tide erase footprints. I thought about everything that happened and realized something. I didn't lose Madison. I lost my blindness. And it was the best damn thing that ever happened to me. She tried to reach out a few more times. An email with a long, poetic apology that sounded more like a guilt dump than remorse. A Christmas card with a picture of a dog and a note. Hope you're happy. I'm trying to be. Even a late-night call from a number I didn't recognize. I answered it out of instinct. She was drunk, crying, mumbling something about her parents not speaking to her anymore. I hung up. I wasn't her therapist. I wasn't her savior. I was the man she set on fire and left behind. Let someone else clean up her ashes. By the time spring rolled around, I had my house repainted. New colors. New art on the walls. I replaced our old bed with one that didn't hold secrets. Even changed my routine, new gym, new grocery store, new everything. I wasn't running from the past. I was making sure it didn't follow me. And one night, sitting on the porch with a drink in my hand and no anxiety in my chest, I realized I was okay. Not perfect. Not healed in the dramatic, Hollywood way. But okay. Solid. Still standing. And if you're reading this, if you're the guy who's just discovered the woman you love is someone else entirely, here's my advice. 1. Believe what you see. If she lies to your face with ease, believe that's who she is, not who she could be. 2. Don't beg for loyalty. The moment you do, you've already lost yourself. You can't convince someone to love you the way you deserve. 3. Document everything. Not out of spite. Out of self-respect. Protect yourself when she tries to flip the script. 4. Take your pain seriously. Don't drown it. Don't rush it. Sit with it. Learn from it. Then let it leave you. 5. Forgiveness isn't a favor, it's freedom. Forgive her for being broken. But never forget what that brokenness cost you. You will get through it. You'll remember how to laugh, how to sleep, how to trust. And someday, someone will come into your life, not to fix you, but to remind you that you never needed fixing. Just distance from the one who broke you. As for Madison, I don't know where she is, and I don't care. Because her story stopped matching the day I started writing mine. Alone. Stronger. Free. The music was loud, the lights were low, and the champagne was flowing like it was someone else's money on the tap. I stood at the entrance of the rooftop ballroom, watching my wife, laugh with a crowd of her law school friends like I didn't exist. Her sleek red dress hugged her curves like it was made to remind me what I used to touch. And I funded this whole damn party. Every month for 3 years, I sent her $1,050 without fail. At the start of every term, another $6,000. All from my construction jobs, double shifts, scraped palms, and missed birthdays. And tonight, when I showed up, wearing the same navy blazer she once said made me look like her future, the security guard at the door stopped me. Said my name wasn't on the list. I chuckled. Must be a mistake. I'm her husband. He turned his head. I followed his eyes. And there she was, Vanessa, walking toward us like she was about to collect an award. Her heels clicked like a metronome of betrayal. Then she said it. He doesn't belong here. 3 words. Spit out like I was dirt on her Louboutin heels. The guard looked uncomfortable. Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. I stared at her. Are you serious? Her eyes didn't blink. You're making a scene. Just go. I'll talk to you later. And right behind her, arms crossed and smirking like the devil himself, stood her father, Ronald, the man who never thought I was good enough, who once told me his daughter needed a man with vision, not tools. He looked me dead in the face and laughed. Loud. You really thought you were welcome? I didn't say a word. My chest was burning, but I kept my lips sealed. I just pulled out my phone, and I texted her. Congrats on your big night. I'll be out of the apartment by morning. I turned and walked out. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. But I swear the air around me felt colder than it should have. Like something died inside me on that rooftop. What the hell just happened? All I knew was, this wasn't about me being not welcome. This was about her not wanting her friends to know she married a man who built houses instead of litigated them. But something deeper was off. And I was about to find out just how deep her betrayal went. Because Vanessa didn't just throw me out of a party I paid for. She had been throwing me out of her life, piece by piece, for months. And I'd been too blind to notice. I sat in the truck outside our apartment for 20 minutes before I finally went in. The place was dark, untouched. Same wine glasses on the counter from 2 nights ago when she swore she had a study session. Same hoodie of mine folded on the couch she hadn't sat on in weeks. Her scent was barely here anymore. Like she'd already moved on emotionally. Just forgot to tell me. I packed slowly. Didn't really know what to take. My clothes, tools, a few books. Left the TV. I bought it. But I didn't want to carry it. Didn't want to carry anything heavy that night. My heart was already enough weight. At midnight, she came home. She didn't expect me to still be there. Seriously? She said, flicking the lights on like she owned the air I was breathing. You're still here. I turned to face her. Her lipstick was smudged. Hair messy. That dress didn't just smell like perfume. You could have told me you didn't want me there, I said, quiet. I didn't think you'd be stupid enough to show up, she snapped, throwing her clutch on the kitchen counter. You've been acting like my ATM for 3 years, and now you suddenly want to be part of my life. I stared. I thought I was your life. She rolled her eyes, laughed like I was some punchline. You really thought a guy who installs drywall was going to sit beside me in courtrooms someday? That laugh burned more than her words. You used me, I said. 3 years of my life. My money. My time. My everything. Oh my God, stop being so dramatic, she said, unzipping her heels. I didn't use you. I just did what I had to do. You were convenient. Convenient. Like a loan. Like a piece of furniture. Like a warm body she didn't have to thank. I leaned against the wall, arms folded tight so they wouldn't shake. Is there someone else? She blinked. Pause. Too long of a pause. No, she lied. I knew that pause. It was the same pause she gave me 2 months ago when I asked why she didn't come home after that group project. Same pause she gave when I saw a strange number on her call log, saved under Molly. You sure? I said. Because you're not good at lying anymore. She looked at me then like she was deciding whether to come clean or double down. I don't owe you anything, she said finally. Not anymore. That was it. The final nail. I didn't scream. Didn't hit anything. Just nodded. Then I walked out. 2 hours later, I got a DM from a guy I'd never met. Name was Blake. Hey man, I didn't know she was married. Found out tonight. I'm sorry. I'm out. Attached was a screenshot of her texts. Her half-naked selfies. The message. He's just my sponsor. Don't worry about him. Sponsor. That's what she called me. I laughed. Laughed until I was coughing in the front seat of my truck at 3 a.m. parked behind a gas station. It wasn't just betrayal. It was humiliation. It was erasure. Like I'd never mattered. She was a scoundrel in designer heels. And I was just the fool who built her runway. But I wasn't done yet. The next morning, I didn't go to work. I couldn't even look at a hammer without picturing her calling me a sponsor. I sat on a park bench with coffee that had gone cold before I even tasted it. Everything felt distant. People walking their dogs, kids playing, a couple kissing on a blanket. It all looked like another planet. One I didn't belong to anymore. She rewrote our marriage like I was never part of it. I spent 3 years waking up early, skipping vacations, taking overtime, saving every damn penny so she could chase her dream. So she could feel like she mattered in a world of suits and titles. I wanted her to win. I wanted her to feel powerful. And she paid me back by calling security on me at her graduation party. By sleeping with some Blake guy who had the nerve to message me like he was the victim. I opened that screenshot a dozen times. Zoomed in on her words. He's just my sponsor. Each time it hit worse. Like getting punched again while still bleeding from the first hit. Around noon, I drove back to the apartment. She wasn't there. I didn't need to guess where she was. But I needed proof. So I opened her laptop. Same password. She never changed it. And there it was. A folder on her desktop labeled Bar Prep. Inside, screenshots of messages with Blake. Hotel reservations. Photos. Goddamn voice notes. In one, she was laughing. He thinks I'm at the library. I told him I'd be home late. Blake, you better make it worth it. Then another. I don't feel bad. He's just my backup plan. Like, he's a sweet guy. But come on. You're the only one who makes me feel alive. I closed the laptop. I should have felt rage. But I felt hollow. Like every memory we made had been chewed up and spit out. The picnic in North Carolina. The night we danced drunk in our tiny living room. The way she cried when I first surprised her with tuition money. All of it fake. I packed the rest of my stuff in silence. The walls felt like they were watching me. I was halfway out the door when I noticed something. Her phone. On the kitchen counter. Buzzing. Blake. I stared at it. Then I picked it up and answered. Hello, he said. Not tonight, bro. I said, my voice low. She's gonna be busy fixing her life. Click. 15 minutes later, I dropped the phone in a cup of water. Then I left. That night, I booked a room at a cheap motel with peeling paint and a cigarette smell that wouldn't die. But the silence there felt better than the noise back home. I didn't cry. I didn't sleep either. Just stared at the ceiling fan turning slow like it knew my whole world had stopped spinning. By sunrise, I knew one thing. I wasn't going back. Not just to the apartment. but to the version of me that begged for love from someone who couldn't spell the word loyalty. Vanessa wanted power. She got it, but she lost something bigger. She lost me, and I'm not easy to replace. 2 days passed. I didn't hear from her. Not a text, not a call, not even an "I'm sorry" typed out halfway and deleted. Just silence. She didn't ask where I went, didn't wonder if I was okay. I could have been dead in a ditch, and she'd probably just wonder if the rent got paid. On the 3rd day, I went back, not to stay, just to grab one last box I forgot in the closet. When I walked in, she was there, sitting on the couch with her legs crossed like a queen on a throne she didn't earn. Glass of wine in her hand, phone in the other, scrolling like the world was at peace. "Oh," she said without looking up. "You're back." I didn't respond. She finally glanced at me. "You look like S***T. "Yeah," I said. "Losing your entire marriage overnight does that." She rolled her eyes. "Don't start. I'm not in the mood." I laughed. "You're not in the mood? That's rich. You humiliated me, lied for months, called me your sponsor behind my back, and now you're not in the mood." She stood up, wine glass in hand. "What do you want me to say, huh? That I'm sorry? That I regret it? Because I don't. I had to survive. You were holding me back." I stepped closer. "Holding you back? I funded your life. You'd still be slinging coffee at that cafe if I didn't take double shifts." Her face twisted. "Exactly. That's what you don't get. I didn't want to be that girl anymore. The one who needed you. I wanted to be the woman who could walk into a room and be someone on her own. And you couldn't do that without screwing some other guy?" She flinched. "But not from guilt. From anger. You think I owe you my body just because you paid tuition? I think you owe me honesty, loyalty, respect." She took a sip of wine. "You're not my father, Jason. You don't get to decide how I live." "No, I was just your husband," I said. But that didn't seem to matter. She shrugged. "It mattered. Until it didn't. And that's when I knew. This wasn't about mistakes or miscommunication. She didn't love me anymore. And maybe she never did." I walked past her, grabbed my box, and turned to leave. "You can keep the ring," she said behind me. "Pawn it. Buy yourself a therapist or something." I stopped. Then I looked back at her. "You really think you won?" I said. "That you leveled up? You think Blake's going to carry your bags through life the way I did?" She smirked. "He doesn't have to. I don't need saving anymore." I nodded. "Then save yourself when it all burns down." And I left. Outside, the air felt colder. But I breathed deeper. Because I finally understood something. Losing her wasn't the tragedy. Loving her was. The motel room felt less like a hiding place and more like a detox chamber. Every hour I spent there stripped away another layer of the illusion I'd built around her. Around us. I kept replaying every moment in reverse. How we met at that house party in Richmond, her smile when I offered her the last slice of pizza, the way she said, "You're not like the others." Damn right I wasn't. I was worse. I believed her. A week after I left, her sister, Emily, messaged me. We were never close. Vanessa always made sure of that. But Emily was decent. A little awkward, too honest for Vanessa's taste. Her message was simple. "I didn't know. I'm sorry. You didn't deserve that." I didn't reply, but it told me something. Vanessa's little mask was starting to slip in front of her own people. And then came the voicemail. I was at a laundromat when it hit. 3 minutes of her voice, shaky, slurred. "Jason, I don't know what I was thinking. Blake left. He said he wasn't ready for anything serious. He was just fun, okay? I messed up. I did. I panicked. I felt trapped. I didn't mean to push you away like that. I don't know. You were always there. And maybe I took that for granted. Please call me." Click. I didn't call. The next day, I got another one. More tears. More confessions. She said she missed the way I smelled, the way I used to make pancakes on Sundays. That Blake wasn't a real man. That I was the only one who ever really saw her. I laughed so loud the woman folding towels across from me flinched. "Sorry," I muttered. But I wasn't. Because it wasn't funny in a ha-ha kind of way. It was funny in a God, how low can she go kind of way. 2 days after that, she showed up. At the job site. I was laying bricks, sun beating down on my back, music low in my earbuds. I turned and there she was. Full makeup, sunglasses, heels in the mud like she didn't care if they got ruined. "Jason," she said. I didn't move. Didn't flinch. She stepped closer. "Can we talk?" My foreman raised an eyebrow. I nodded once. "Break." We stepped off to the side. She looked thinner, Maybe from stress, maybe from guilt. You blocked me, she said. Didn't want to hear more lies? I replied. I'm not lying now. Then why are you here? She hesitated. Because I made a mistake. A huge one. I chose something shiny over something solid. And now I see what I lost. I stared at her. You didn't lose me. You threw me out. At a party I paid for. You humiliated me in front of your friends. Your father laughed in my face like I was the clown in your little circus. Tears welled up in her eyes. I know. I was scared. I thought if I could just cut you out fast, clean, maybe I wouldn't feel the guilt. You don't feel guilt, I said. You feel abandonment. Blake left. So now you're circling back to the man you thought would always be there. Her lips trembled. I still love you. No, I said. You don't love me. You love what I gave you. Stability. Money. Time. Safety. And now you want it again because the party's over and you're hungover. Silence. She didn't argue. Because I was right. You can't come back, I said. Not this time. She looked down. So that's it. That was at the moment you said, he doesn't belong here. She walked away. Slowly. Heels sinking in the mud like they were dragging her down. And for the first time in weeks, I felt light. The next morning, I woke up with a strange stillness in my chest. Not peace, not happiness, but quiet. No racing thoughts. No images of her with him. Just me, in a borrowed twin bed at the back of a coworker's house, sunlight creeping through dusty blinds. I sat up and realized something simple but sharp. This was the first day in years that I wasn't waiting on Vanessa. Not waiting on her to come home. To call. To love me right. And I didn't miss her. That voicemail she left at midnight? Deleted. The flowers she sent to the site the next day? Dumped behind the building before the card was even opened. I was done. A week later, Emily called again. This time I answered. She's spiraling, she said. I think she thought you'd just take her back. I stayed quiet. She told Mom you were cruel. That you abandoned her after everything she gave up for you. I laughed. She gave up me for Blake. What more does she want? Emily sighed. You were the only person who ever showed up for her. But she never knew how to receive that without stepping on it. I didn't have much to say to that. She was right. But knowing that didn't change the scar. I got a lawyer. Simple divorce paperwork. Nothing dramatic. I didn't want revenge. I didn't need half of anything. I just wanted freedom. She refused to sign it first. Claimed she was still confused. Said we should go to counseling. That we owed it to ourselves. I told her we already did the hard work. I carried the weight for 3 years. She carried the betrayal for 6 months. That was the balance. Then she signed. No heart emoji at the end of her name this time. No love always. Just Vanessa. Weeks passed. I got my own place. Just a 1-bedroom above a mechanic shop, but it felt like a palace. I bought a couch that didn't sag in the middle and a coffee table that still had the tag on it. I stopped checking her social media. Started eating better. Sleeping longer. One afternoon, while cleaning out an old box, I found our wedding photo. She was laughing, head tilted toward mine. I was looking straight at her, smiling like I'd won the lottery. I stared at it for a long time. Then I lit a match and watched it curl into ash in the sink. It didn't hurt. Not anymore. Because the man in that photo? He was gone. But the man I was now? He knew better. 3 months later, I saw her again. It was at a small coffee shop on the west side. The one with the chipped red stools and the best damn cinnamon rolls in town. I went there every Sunday morning now, like a ritual. My quiet corner of the world. She walked in wearing oversized sunglasses, her hair pulled back, but I knew that posture. That self-important strut she used to call confidence, even when it was covering panic. She didn't see me at first. She was with someone, some new guy. Too young, maybe mid-20s, designer sneakers. That casual arrogance that screams money but not substance. They sat down, and I couldn't help but watch for a second. She laughed too loud. She leaned in too far. And when she thought he wasn't looking, she looked bored. I almost pitied her. Almost. But pity is a luxury you give someone who tried. She didn't. She destroyed, then pretended she was the one left broken. I turned back to my coffee, flipped the page in my book, and left without looking back. That was the moment I knew I was truly done. Not angry. Not sad. Not bruised. Just done. People say time heals. They're wrong. Time just makes the wound visible in a different light. And in that new light, you see things clearer. Like how love can rot when it's planted in someone who doesn't know how to water it. Like how loyalty becomes a weakness when it's given to someone who sees it as control. A few weeks after that, I got a call from her mother. I didn't answer. Then a voicemail. Jason, I don't know what's going on between you two, and maybe it's not my place, but Vanessa's not doing well. She's been distant. Cold. Says she's fine, but I don't know. You were the best thing that ever happened to her. I thought you should know. I didn't call back, because none of that was my responsibility anymore. I gave her the best parts of me. She used them as leverage, then traded them for sparkles. And now I was the one who finally had peace. It came slow. Not like a sunrise. More like a flicker that refused to die. I started saying yes to things I used to skip. Joined a boxing gym. Took a weekend trip alone. Bought a motorcycle I always told myself was too impractical. Started seeing someone too. Her name was Claire. Soft-spoken, sharp eyes, quiet strength. She didn't ask about my past much. Just met me where I was and stayed consistent. And I told her everything. Not right away, but when it mattered. She listened. Didn't flinch when I said the ugliest parts. Didn't try to fix me, just held the space. And for the first time since Vanessa told that security guard I didn't belong, I felt like I did. Not in her world. Not in some illusion. But in mine. And it was enough. It's strange how life folds back into place when you stop chasing the wrong corners. I used to think closure would come in some dramatic way, like a confrontation, a breakdown, maybe even an apology. But it didn't. Closure came in the quiet. It came the night I deleted her number without hesitation. It came the day I realized I hadn't thought about her for a whole morning. It came when I stopped needing answers, because the truth was already plain. She betrayed me. She used me. And I let her, for too long. But I also walked away. I chose myself, finally. And maybe that's the most powerful thing a man can do when everything inside him is screaming to hold on. I'm not angry anymore. Not at her. Not even at myself. I learned that love without respect is just submission. That being loyal to someone who sees you as a tool will only ever drain you dry. That sacrifice, when unappreciated, becomes fuel for resentment. And now, when I look in the mirror, I see a man I actually respect. I didn't get revenge. I didn't ruin her life. I didn't need to. She'll spend the rest of hers looking for someone to make her feel whole again. And I hope one day she realizes it was never about who she was with. It was about who she refused to become. If you're reading this, if you're where I was, let me say this. Walk away. Not for pride. Not for ego. Walk away because no one who truly loves you will ever make you feel disposable. You don't need to burn her world down. Just rebuild yours. Brick by brick. And make damn sure no one gets in unless they're worthy. I funded her dream. Now I'm finally building mine. Alone. Stronger. Wiser. And this time, I belong here. I never thought betrayal could have a soundtrack. But that night, Thanksgiving night, the room was full of laughter, wine glasses clinking, cheesy holiday music in the background, and the sound of my own pride being gutted. The dining room was packed. My in-laws, her friends, even a few of mine. I had paid for everything. The catered turkey, the bartenders, the DJ, even the stupid fall-themed decorations my wife insisted on. Her name's Jessica, by the way. Beautiful, fiery, wild Jessica. The woman who once cried when I brought her soup while she was sick. Now, she was laughing as her sister handed me a shirt that said in big, bold letters, "Biggest disappointment." Everyone roared. Her brother Tyler nearly choked on a deviled egg. Even Jessica clapped like it was the highlight of the evening. I just stood there, dead still, the shirt hanging from my fingers like a rag soaked in acid. "It's just a joke, babe," she giggled, brushing past me with a wine glass in hand and zero respect in her eyes. "Loosen up." I didn't argue. I didn't scream. I didn't flip the table, though God knows I wanted to. Instead, I reached into my jacket pocket and pulled out a neatly folded stack of papers. Thick, heavy, the kind that changed lives. I looked Jessica in the eyes, smiled calmly, and tore the papers in half, slow and deliberate. You could have heard the rip over the music. Then I turned, walked right past the bar, out the door, and into the night. It took them over an hour to stop laughing, to finish their turkey and gossip and backhanded jokes. An hour before someone, probably her cousin Lindsay, picked up the pieces of what I'd destroyed. It was only then that they realized those were the finalized adoption papers for Jessica's son, Caleb, the kid I raised since he was 2. I was about to make it official, to give him my name. And I shredded it like it was junk mail. That's when the calls started. First 1, then 5, then 15. I didn't answer. I was already driving, No destination, just me and the steering wheel and a mind unraveling at 90 miles per hour. Here's what they didn't know. The shirt wasn't the betrayal. That was just the trigger. I had already known. I'd known for weeks. It started with her phone. Not even a late-night text or a lipstick-stained collar. No, it was how she guarded her phone like it was the nuclear codes. The way she'd angle the screen away from me, even to check the weather. And then there was the perfume. Not hers. Musky. Male. Cheap. It clung to her like guilt. But it was the hotel receipt that sealed it. Tucked in the glove compartment of her car, under a pile of gas station napkins. 2 nights at a downtown Marriott. Room service for 2. Champagne. A note scribbled on the back. You felt so damn good last night. Round 2. Signed Z. I didn't explode. I didn't confront her. I watched. I followed. I saw them once. In his Audi. She was wearing a coat I bought her last Christmas, but underneath, she wore nothing but betrayal. He looked like a wannabe frat boy, hair slicked back, designer stubble, probably called himself a real estate investor. I don't know. I didn't need a name. That night, I booked a lawyer, drew up adoption papers, planned a Thanksgiving party to top all Thanksgiving parties. I needed a stage. I needed her to humiliate me one last time, so I could detonate everything. So when they gave me that shirt, when Jessica laughed like I was just the village idiot, I smiled because I knew something she didn't. I was done playing the fool. And this was only the opening act. I ignored the 30-second call and let the screen dim. The notifications were piling up. Jessica, her sister Megan, even Tyler tried calling. I imagined them in the living room, frantic, whispering, piecing together what had just happened like it was some kind of mystery. But it wasn't a mystery. Not anymore. They were just slow to catch up. My hands gripped the wheel tighter as I pulled into an empty lot near the lake. The same place I took Jessica on our second date, when she told me she'd never felt safe with anyone before. She said I made her feel chosen. That word stuck with me for years. Chosen. The irony burned now. I sat in the car, engine off, silence thick. My heartbeat was pounding in my ears, and all I could see was her smug face, laughing at that shirt. It's just a joke. Yeah, well, so was our marriage. The first real message came in as I stared out across the water. Not a call. A voice memo. From Jessica. Hey. Okay. Can you, stop being dramatic and pick up? You're scaring Caleb. It was just a joke. I didn't even make the shirt, Megan did. Can we please just talk like adults? I played it again. And again. Her tone didn't match the situation. There was no remorse. No apology. No fear of loss. Just annoyance. She wasn't sorry for humiliating me. She was sorry I didn't roll over and take it like usual. I closed my eyes and remembered last Tuesday. She'd come home late. Too late. Hair slightly damp, like she'd showered somewhere else. I asked her how the girls' night was. She smirked, kissed me on the cheek, and said, "Relax, you sound like a jealous teenager." Then she disappeared into the bathroom for half an hour with her phone. 2 days later, she said she wanted to reconnect and let me to bed. It was the most forced, disconnected thing I'd ever felt. Like she was performing a scene, trying to prove something. But not to me. Maybe to herself. Maybe to Z. It's funny what betrayal does to your memory. You start replaying every moment, every pause in a sentence, every eye roll, every sudden work trip. It all lines up. It's like your life rearranges itself into a pattern of warning signs you were too blind to see the first time. My phone buzzed again. This time, a text from Megan. "You're being a fking holy. You ruined Thanksgiving and Caleb's crying. Grow up." I didn't even flinch. These people had the emotional depth of a puddle. Megan was Jessica's twin in attitude, entitled, manipulative, never wrong. If Jessica was the storm, Megan was the wind fanning the flames. I finally drove home after midnight. The house was dark except for the living room lamp. Jessica sat on the couch in leggings and one of my old hoodies, one I hadn't seen her wear in months. Her eyes were swollen like she'd been crying, but with her, who knew what was real? She stood up slowly. "Where the hell have you been?" I dropped my keys on the counter and didn't answer. I was calm. Too calm. "I'm serious, Nick." Caleb was terrified. "He thought you were never coming back." I turned to her, meeting her gaze for the first time since I left the party. "Good." Her eyes narrowed. "What the hell is wrong with you? You tell me," I said, walking past her and into the kitchen. I poured a glass of water, drank it in silence. The air between us was thick, like the house knew something had snapped. I don't get why you're making such a big deal out of a joke. You know Megan's humor is dark. It wasn't the shirt, I said, setting the glass down. Then what? She snapped, arms crossed now, the hoodie swallowing her frame. I turned slowly. The hotel receipt. The texts. The perfume. The nights you said you were with Lindsay but weren't. She froze. Her lips parted, just slightly, and I saw it. The flicker of fear. Not guilt. Fear. I stepped closer. You want to lie again? I'll give you one more chance. One last lie before this whole thing burns to the ground. She swallowed hard. You're being paranoid. Those texts weren't mine. And the receipt? The note from Z. Her face twisted, and for a second, I thought she'd come clean. Instead, she scoffed. You went through my King car? That's so pathetic. There it was. Not denial. Not shame. Just deflection. Classic Jessica. I trusted you, I said quietly. She rolled her eyes. Then maybe you shouldn't have. I stepped back, stunned. Not by what she said, but how easily it came out. There was no love left in this house. Just ashes pretending to be furniture. I didn't sleep that night. Just sat in the guest room, staring at the ceiling fan spinning like it could blow away the mess I was drowning in. Jessica didn't knock. Didn't call out. Didn't even text. That alone told me everything I needed to know. By morning, the silence between us had turned into something physical, like a wall that couldn't be climbed or broken through. Just stood there, tall and cold and final. Caleb came into the kitchen, rubbing his eyes. The kid had no clue what was going on, and I hated that he was caught in the middle. He saw me, then looked past me toward the hallway. Where's Mom? She's getting ready, I said. My voice cracked, and I hated how weak it sounded. He sat down and poured himself cereal like it was just another Tuesday. Maybe for him, it was. But for me, it was the beginning of the end. Jessica floated in 20 minutes later, sunglasses on like she was hungover, coffee in hand like nothing had happened. Hey, she mumbled, and kissed Caleb on the head. She didn't even look at me. I watched her, waiting. Nothing. No apology. No attempt to explain. Just business as usual. When Caleb left for school, I finally asked, so what's the plan? She didn't even turn. What plan? With us. She laughed under her breath. Oh my God, Nick, you're not serious. You cheated on me. She turned now, finally. Allegedly. I blinked, stunned at her audacity. Allegedly. Do you have video footage? DNA? A confession? Because otherwise, this sounds like one of your classic jealous spirals. I nearly laughed, but it came out as a sharp exhale. You are incredible. She smirked. I've been told. I stepped toward her, voice low. I saw you. In his car. You were wearing my coat. She bit her lip, not nervously, mockingly. Well, if it was your coat, maybe I was just thinking of you. You're disgusting. Funny, she said, sipping her coffee. That's not what you said when you begged me to marry you. The urge to scream was almost unbearable, but I swallowed it. She wanted a scene. She wanted to paint me as unhinged, bitter, broken. I wouldn't give her that. So I did the opposite. I smiled. Good, I said. Keep this version of yourself. Because when the lawyers see how you treated me, they're going to eat you alive. She didn't flinch. Lawyers? You think anyone's going to believe poor little Nick got bullied by his wife? Grow up. Caleb deserves better than this. Her face changed. Not much, just a flicker, her shield cracking. Don't you King bring him into this. I already did, I said, calm as a priest. Those papers last night, the ones I tore up, they were the adoption forms. I was going to give him my name. Not anymore. That got her. She stood frozen, lips parted, coffee cup trembling slightly. You bastard, she hissed. I stepped closer. I would have raised him like my own. I still love that kid. But I won't attach myself to you. Not anymore. The slap came fast. Sharp. Her hand left a sting across my cheek, but I didn't react. She was breathing heavy now. Not out of fear, but fury. Rage that she couldn't control me anymore. Get out, she spat. I nodded slowly. I was already leaving. I packed in silence. No yelling. No music. Just the hum of an ending. I didn't take much. Clothes, some pictures, my passport, the watch my dad gave me before he died. The rest could rot in that house with her. As I walked out the door, she called after me. Not with regret. Not with sorrow. With venom. You'll come crawling back, Nick. You always do. I paused on the doorstep. Turned just enough for her to see my eyes. Not this time. And then I left. Left the woman I loved. Left the version of myself that tolerated her. Left the home that wasn't really mine. But I wasn't broken. Not yet. I was something worse. Awake. I moved into a motel on the edge of town. One of those cheap places with flickering signs and stiff pillows, where you hear everything through the walls. Arguments, TVs, the occasional headboard slamming in the next room. It was perfect. Ugly, temporary, anonymous. Just like how I felt. The first night I lay there, I stared at the ceiling until the lines between the cracks started to look like veins in a dying body. My phone kept lighting up. Not just from Jessica, though she was relentless, flipping between begging and blaming, but from Caleb too. He left a voicemail. Hey, Mom's acting weird. Are you okay? When are you coming back? I played it 3 times before deleting it. Not because I didn't care, but because I cared too much. That kid didn't deserve any of this, but I couldn't be the one to fix it anymore. Not when his mother had shattered every ounce of who I was. On the 3rd night, I saw Z. I didn't plan it. I was walking into a liquor store 2 blocks from the motel, grabbing a 6-pack and maybe a bottle of something harder when I saw the Audi. Same license plate. Same smug, sleazy vibe. And then him, Zach, apparently. He stepped out, phone in hand, laughing like the world was just handing him everything he wanted. I followed him. No plan. No weapon. Just anger. Raw and unfiltered. He walked into a trendy little bar down the street. I waited 5 minutes, then followed. It was dimly lit, all polished concrete and overpriced cocktails. He was at the bar, talking to a brunette who clearly wasn't Jessica. Of course. I walked up beside him and said, calm as ever, she's married, you know. He looked over, confused, then annoyed. Excuse me. I leaned in. Jessica, my wife. He blinked. What the F*** K are you talking about? I pulled my wallet out, showed him a picture of her and Caleb from last Christmas. This woman, the one you've been seeing at the Marriott. Recognition hit him like a wave. He sat back, eyes narrowing. You're her husband? Was. He exhaled slowly. She told me you were separated. Said you cheated first. I laughed. Out loud. Heads turned, but I didn't care. She lied to you, man. Just like she lied to me. That's what she does. She chews people up and spits them out before they even realize what's happening. He looked away, then back. Look, I didn't know. I wouldn't have. Save it, I said. I'm not here for your apology. I just wanted to see the face of the guy who helped blow up my life. Zach shifted uncomfortably. You gonna hit me or something? I shook my head. No. Hitting you would be doing her a favor. She'd twist it, make herself the victim. I'm not giving her another chapter in her story. He looked genuinely rattled. Not scared, just embarrassed. That made 2 of us. I walked out and never looked back. The next morning, Jessica was waiting outside my motel room. Her makeup was smeared. Hair tied back in some rushed ponytail. No smugness. No power. Just a mess of mascara and desperation. You told him? She snapped, arms folded tight. I unlocked the door, stepped inside. Yeah, I told him. She barged in behind me. Why the hell would you do that? Because I wanted him to know who he was dealing with. She stood there like she couldn't decide whether to scream or cry. You had no right. No, Jessica, I cut in, voice low. You had no right. To lie. To cheat. To humiliate me in front of your entire damn family while I paid for the turkey. She flinched. I pointed to the door. Get out. She didn't move. You still love me. I know you do. Doesn't matter anymore. You'll regret this. Already did. For the last 6 months. That's when she broke. Not in the way you'd expect. Not with tears. Not with apologies. She laughed. A sharp, bitter sound that made my skin crawl. You think you're the hero in this story, she said. You're just a boring, weak man who couldn't keep me interested. I stood up, walked to the door and opened it. She stormed past me, shoulder bumping mine hard. As she walked off, she muttered, You'll die alone. I closed the door behind her. Slowly, deliberately. Then I sat on the bed, opened a beer, and let the silence soak in. It didn't feel good. It didn't feel like victory. But for the first time in a long time, it felt like freedom. The motel room smelled like dust and old air conditioning, but it was mine. Mine in the way prison is still technically yours. For days had passed since she stormed out, and each one peeled away a layer of whatever illusion I still had about Jessica, about love, about myself. I'd started making lists. Not to-dos, not goals, memories. Tiny moments from our marriage that now felt different in hindsight. The way she used to hide her phone under a pillow when she showered. The sudden business trips that always came after an argument. The silence she wrapped herself in when I asked if she was okay. One night, I wrote down, she never cried at our wedding. Not even during the vows. I thought it was strength. Now I know it was distance. My lawyer called that morning. I've reviewed everything. You have no shared assets in her name, and since you never finalized the adoption, there's no legal tie to Caleb either. Those words hurt more than they should have. No legal tie. Like I hadn't spent 5 years tucking that kid into bed, teaching him to ride a bike, sitting through school plays where he forgot half his lines. But the law doesn't measure love. What do you want to do? The lawyer asked. Burn it all down, I said. But the grown-up version. We filed for divorce that day. No fault. No custody. No more delays. That night, I got a text from Tyler, Jessica's brother. Of all people, he was the last one I expected to reach out. It was short. You free? I think you should hear something. We met at a diner off Route 12, halfway between the city and whatever small town hellhole he lived in. He looked tired. Older. Like he'd been carrying something too heavy for too long. We sat in a booth. He ordered coffee. I didn't. I owe you an apology, he said. I blinked. That a real sentence coming from a Rivers sibling? He chuckled. Fair. But yeah, I was a dick to you. At the party, before that, during the marriage. I thought you were boring. Too safe. Too soft for Jess. And now. He stared into his mug. Now I know she's poison. He told me everything. That she'd been seeing Zach for almost a year. That she had a second phone she kept at work. That even before Zach, there were others. One of them was married. Another was a co-worker she threatened with a harassment complaint when he tried to break it off. Why are you telling me this now? I asked. Because I saw what that shirt did to you, he said. I saw your face. And then when I found out what you tore up, I realized we all became part of her game. He handed me a flash drive. Texts. Screenshots. Voicemails. All of it. In case you need proof. I didn't want it. But I took it. I needed to see the truth laid out. No more guessing, no more lies. Just facts. Cold and raw. Back in the motel, I plugged it in. And there it was. One message stood out. Sent from Jessica to Zach. He'll never leave me. He thinks loyalty is strength. I could FK someone on our kitchen table, and he'd still say we can work through this. I didn't move. Didn't breathe. Just stared at the screen until the words blurred. Loyalty was my pride. My shield. My identity. And to her, it was a punchline. I turned off the laptop, stood up, and looked at myself in the mirror. My eyes were bloodshot. My beard was patchy. I looked like a man halfway through a war he didn't sign up for. But beneath that, there was something else. Resolve. No more tears. No more replays. No more hoping she'd feel guilty. I wasn't going to heal by pretending it didn't happen. I was going to heal by remembering every damn detail and using it to never be that man again. The next morning, I put on a clean shirt, left the motel, and drove past the old house one last time. Jessica was outside, watering the garden like the world hadn't changed. She looked up, saw me. For a split second, her face softened. Maybe she thought I'd stop. Maybe she thought I'd beg to come home. I didn't. I drove on. Faster this time. Farther. Because that version of me, the one who stayed, he died the moment she called it a joke. A month passed. I got a new place, small, clean, no ghosts. 2 rooms and a balcony that overlooked a row of trees that actually looked like they belonged in a painting. It was quiet, peaceful. No heels clicking across the hallway at midnight. No perfume lingering where it shouldn't be. No lies hiding in phone notifications. Just me and the sound of my own thoughts slowly learning to breathe again. I started waking up earlier, drinking coffee black, going for runs. At first, it felt like I was acting out some cliche about men post-breakup, trying to find myself, like some life coach in a podcast. But eventually, it stopped being an act. I started feeling alive. Not happy, not yet, but solid. Real. I could look in the mirror and not hate what I saw. Then came the letter. It wasn't from Jessica. It was from Caleb. His handwriting hadn't changed. Still crooked and crammed into the top half of the page. There were spelling mistakes. A few words crossed out and rewritten. But the message hit me harder than anything else ever had. Dear Nick, I miss you. Mom says you're mad and that you're not coming back. I don't believe her. You always said family doesn't give up. I don't know what happened, but I just want you to come to my game next Saturday. I'm on defense now. I picked number 14 because you said that was your number in high school. Please come. Love, Caleb. I sat there for almost an hour holding that damn letter. Not crying. Just sitting. Trying to figure out how to answer a kid who still thought monsters only lived under his bed, not in the people who tucked him in at night. I went to the game. I stayed in the back, behind the bleachers, half hoping Jessica wouldn't see me. She did. Of course she did. She looked better than she had any right to. Tight jeans, boots, new hair color. But her smile died the second she saw me. Her face locked into this cold, practiced mask like nothing had touched her since I left. Caleb saw me after the third quarter. His eyes lit up like someone just told him Christmas got extended a month. He ran over during halftime, sweaty and smiling like his world had been set right again. You came. Wouldn't miss it, kid. We sat for a minute, watching his team huddle. He leaned in. Mom says you hate us now. I looked at him hard. That's not true. I hate what you did. I could never hate you. He nodded like he understood, though I knew he couldn't really. Not yet. Will you come again next week? I'll try, I said, and I meant it. Jessica approached after the game. Slowly, heels clicking against the pavement. Same walk she used to do when she wanted something. You had no right to show up, she said, arms folded, tone like venom. It's a public field, I replied. He's confused enough as it is. Because of you. She blinked, and for the first time, she didn't snap back. Just stood there, staring like she couldn't quite believe who I'd become. You really think walking away makes you the good guy? I stepped closer. No, I think staying would have made me the dumb one. She flinched, just slightly. Then she looked at Caleb, who was laughing with some teammates near the goalpost. You'll never be his real dad, she muttered. I nodded. Maybe not. But I was the one who showed up when he had nightmares. I was the one who taught him how to throw a football. I was the one who stayed. Until you gave me no choice. I turned and walked away before she could say anything else. That night, Caleb texted me a photo of the game. Him grinning, holding up 2 fingers, number 14, on his jersey. Thanks for coming, Nick. You're still my number 1. I stared at that message until the screen faded to black. That was the first time in months I actually smiled. Not the fake one I wore at dinner parties or during family photos. A real one. The kind that doesn't need an explanation. The past was ugly. Jessica was worse. But somewhere in the mess, I found something worth holding on to. Maybe I wasn't his legal dad, but I was still the man he looked for in the crowd. And that meant more than anything she could ever take from me. A few weeks later, I got a message from an unknown number. It was a photo, blurry, clearly taken in secret. Jessica, at some bar, sitting on a stool with her arm draped over a man I didn't recognize. Not Zach, someone older, maybe mid-40s, thinning hair, wedding ring still on. No caption, no name. Then another message came through. Just thought you should know who's picking up the pieces. I didn't respond. Didn't need to. I stared at the photo, not with jealousy or rage, but with a strange calm. Like watching someone else's drama unfold on TV. That's who she was now. A rerun. A show I'd watched too many times with the same ending. I deleted the messages. But something shifted in me that night. I realized Jessica wasn't done. Not by a long shot. She wasn't the kind of person who moved on. She was the kind who circled back when the attention dried up. The kind who didn't miss you, just missed controlling you. 2 nights later, it happened. I was coming back from a late shift. My buddy had opened a detailing garage and offered me some side work. Good pay, good hours, no office politics. I was dirty, exhausted, my shirt reeking of polish and rubber, when I saw her sitting on the stairs outside my apartment building. Jessica, at nearly midnight. She stood as I approached, clutching her arms like the cold was something she didn't expect. I just needed to talk, she said, eyes glossy. I don't have anything left to say. I replied, walking past her. Nick, wait. Please. I stopped at the door. Look back. What? She stepped closer. I'm sorry. I blinked, more from the surrealness of hearing that word come out of her mouth than anything. I was angry, and selfish, and stupid. You didn't deserve any of it. I said nothing. She kept going. You were good to me. Better than anyone. And IF asterisk asterisk kept it up. I know that now. You knew it then, I said. You just didn't care. Silence. I miss you. I'm sure you do. But you don't miss me. You miss control. You miss having someone to blame when your world goes sideways. Her lip trembled. Not a performance this time. This was real. I lost everything. No, I said softly. You threw everything away. There's a difference. She looked like she was going to collapse. But I didn't step forward. I didn't offer comfort. That version of me was gone. Is there any way back? She whispered. I shook my head. There's nothing left to rebuild. She nodded slowly, wiped her eyes. I guess I always thought you'd forgive me. I did, I said. But that doesn't mean I forget. She left without another word. I watched her walk down the street, smaller with every step. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not because I regretted anything, but because the final thread between us had snapped. And when it did, I finally felt it. Peace. Not just silence, but that deep, still kind that comes when you've walked through the fire, scorched and raw, and come out the other side with nothing left to burn. A few days later, Caleb texted me a drawing. Stick figures. A tall one with messy hair, holding a football. A smaller one next to him, grinning, in a jersey with 14 scribbled across the front. Coach says I've got your throw now. Smiley face. I framed it. Because the truth is, I didn't come out of this story with nothing. I came out with a kid who still saw me as his hero, even when the world got ugly. I came out with self-respect I didn't even know I'd lost. I came out alive. And sometimes, that's enough. A few months passed. Spring crept in slowly, softening the sharp edges winter left behind. The trees outside my apartment started blooming again. Birds nested near my window. The world kept moving forward, whether I was ready or not. But I was. For the first time in a long time, I was. Caleb and I had a routine now. Saturdays were ours. Parks, movies, random diners with terrible service and the best milkshakes. He never asked about Jessica much. When he did, it was brief. A flash of curiosity, then gone. Like even his young mind understood some questions didn't need answers. One afternoon, as we were walking back to the car, he looked up at me and said, "Do you think people can stop being mean, or are some just stuck that way?" I stopped in my tracks. Looked at him. This kid with eyes too old for his age, heart still open, still learning. Some people are stuck, I said honestly. But we don't have to be around them when they are. He nodded like it made perfect sense. I dropped him off later that day, and as he waved goodbye, I realized I wasn't sad. Not like before. There was no ache. Just gratitude. Gratitude that I got to be a part of his story, maybe the only honest part. I went home, made coffee, sat on the balcony, and watched the wind move through the trees. Then I wrote something down. Not for Jessica. Not for Caleb. For me. You don't always get closure. Sometimes, you get clarity. And that's enough. Because here's the truth no one tells you. Closure isn't a moment. It's not her apology. It's not a revenge fantasy. It's waking up one morning and realizing you're no longer waiting for the pain to go away, because it already has. Jessica became a memory, one I didn't need to revisit. I didn't check her socials. I didn't ask around. I didn't care who she was hurting next. That part of me, jealous, desperate, needing answers, died somewhere between the torn adoption papers and the motel ceiling. All that mattered now was the man who walked out of the fire. Not bitter, not broken, just awake. And if I could leave anything behind for the next man who finds himself where I once was, it'd be this. If she laughs when they call you the biggest disappointment, walk away. Because nothing is more dangerous than a woman who finds joy in your pain. And nothing is more powerful than a man who learns to stop bleeding for people who cut him. That's how I ended it. Not with revenge. Not with rage. Just the quiet, certain steps of a man walking into the rest of his life, with no one's name on his back and no one's chains around his chest. Free. Finally. Free.